This meeting is being recorded by the host or as a participant. Got it.
I just allowed you to record.
Okay.
Okay, you're recording now. Hi, everybody. This is Kimberly Palm here with my very dear friend and sister, Kat Whitney, Katrina, who's the Red Mountain Shaman. And we are here today to talk to you about a lot of things. We're going to talk about how we feel about channeling, what our ideas are about that. We're going to talk to you about who the Elohim are, and I'm going to talk about what I call the heavenly hierarchy. That's how Yeshua refers to it as. He calls it the heavenly hierarchy. I'm going to go over what he told me last night and what he's told me before, because I've asked him over and over. He's probably getting tired of hearing me ask the same question over and over, but I just like to clarify. And sometimes I'm a big doubter and I doubt. And so I'll ask the same thing just to make sure. Like I'll give you an example. Last night, I asked him for the umpteenth time if there's actually going to be a certain person returning to the office of President in the United States of America. And he said, no, he's not going to ever be in that position again. And I said, is there even going to be an election? And he said, nope. And I said, why? And he said, because basically the system's going to come down, just like he told me in 2019. He said the whole political system's going to be crashed, and there's going to be a lot of other stuff going on that's going to sidetrack the whole thing. And so there will not be like a November, that event in November will not happen. And
I wouldn't be surprised if that's true. If you go
yeah.
back and watch my video, America Will Change,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that information sort of fits with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole system is completely compromised and
Yeah,
corrupt. It's no
it's all
longer a
corrupt.
system of true justice.
Yeah.
So something's got to give. And so there may be for a while maybe two parallel systems going alongside each
Yeah.
other. The people that want to leave that corrupt system might go with him. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as far as Mr. T goes, I was just told that he was a catalyst for change. So whatever that means,
He
I don't
is a
know
catalyst for
what he's
change.
going
I
to
was
be
told
doing.
that too. I was told he's going to be in leadership, but in a different way.
Yeah.
He will be in world leadership in a different way in the new system. So that is what I
Yeah.
was told. And so will he still be in a power position? Absolutely. But it's going to be a different kind of a position. It's going to be more of a 5D kind of a position. So
Yeah. What I
yeah.
was shown was that all of our systems are actually corrupt. And I
Well,
was
yeah, that's what they told me too.
yeah, I was shown
Yeah.
this beast, this many-headed beast, like kind of
Hmm.
this crazy dragon creature with these all these different heads. And they
Hmm.
talk about that in the Bible too. And what I was
Yep.
shown was that one possible interpretation of the beast is each head is a different corrupted system. And so all of these systems have to be purified. So the
Yeah.
earth right now is going through a purification process.
Yep. That's funny because every time you get these messages, you and I need to point out to everybody, the cat and I don't talk about this stuff. And then when we come together, we find out that we literally got the exact same
Yeah.
messages every time, or maybe just a slight variation on the same message every
Yeah.
time. Because I was told in 2019, when he showed up in my room and told me to write Ascension 101, and I was like, I'm not writing any more books. And he's like, nope, you're going to write this one. And he made me write it. But he told me all the systems were corrupt. They're all collapsing. And then he said the food system, medical system, political system, school system, financial system, all
All of
of it, all the history's a lie. The Bible's a lie. It's
it's got to
just,
be purified.
it all
It's
has to
all
be
been
purified.
hijacked
Yeah,
to
it's all been
to
hijacked.
keep us under a veil of illusion.
Uh-huh.
So now that we're starting to awaken and that veil
Slaves
is
in the
becoming
matrix.
thin, people aren't going to be resonating with these systems
Yeah.
anymore.
I know, it's awesome because we were slaves in the Matrix, but we're breaking free from the Matrix.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's not going to
yeah.
happen tomorrow, but it's gonna, over time, this is gonna be happening, and that's what the
Mhm.
purification of the planet is. It's happening right now.
It is happening.
And it seems really dark and scary and like
Mhm.
all this bad stuff is happening, but what's really happening is that it's just all coming up to
It's
this.
all coming up to the surface because it's
Yeah,
already been bad and scary for 25,000 years,
yeah,
but everybody's been completely blind to it and not seen it. And so now it's coming up for everybody to see. That's all it
right.
is. It's always been there. It's always. been going on, all
And
this
there's so
stuff.
much light coming to the planet that this stuff can no longer hide. It's like,
No.
they say no rock will be unturned, or there's no place to hide, like it all is just being exposed. And
Mhm.
people don't want to see it or admit that it's being exposed. But if you really, if you really look into it, so much is being exposed right now, and it's just going to continue to snowball.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to point out a few things before we begin, because I had some interesting comments on my last video that was my 2024 message from Yeshua. So if you haven't seen that message from him for what's coming in 2024, go back on my YouTube and look for that. That was the last video I did, but I got some interesting comments I wanted to address. Number one is something that a lot of people call me up, or they see me even in person, and they're maybe a shaman or something, and they see me, or they see me on a video, and then they send me a message, or they call me or something, and they ask me, are you Mary Magdalene? They always ask me that if I was her. I've actually had shaman tell me that I morph into her when they're looking at me. And the answer to the question is no, she's not on the surface of the planet. Because if she was, she'd be executed in 5 seconds along with her husband, Yeshua. They'd be taken out, which is why he's not here. I talked about that
They
in my
already took them
book.
out once. So
Yeah, yeah, they'll take him out again. So she's not physically here, but there's 29 women on this planet that are carrying a like a fractal of her. We're holding her energy. We have, how do I want to say, we're like her placeholders here, I guess you can say. So we're like her representatives. It would be like her agents or her representatives. So we are carrying what's called the Divine Magdalene frequency. We're carrying the Divine Magdalene frequency. And so that is what I embody, and that is what I carry as one of the 29. So there's 28 others. One of those is Stellar, who I had on this channel. I had Stellar on this channel recently. She's another one. There's several of them who I know personally, and then there's a bunch I haven't met yet. Because they're all over the world. They're spread out all over the world. They're gridded in specific locations all over the planet. So like Stellar was gridded in Ireland. She's Irish, and I'm over here in the US, and we have different people who are holding that Magdalene frequency. But she's not here in a physical form. We're just kind of her emissaries, as you may want to call it, or her
I like
assistant,
that
like her.
word.
Mhm.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
told me I'm an emissary of light. Like you're
Yeah, we're
center,
basically
you're holding that light, that
yeah, we're representing the divine Magdalene, divine feminine here. We're holding the divine feminine. My BFF recently made a comment to me about the fact that my biggest issue is sorry, my sinuses are draining because I had a dust. I was telling Kat before I came on this video that I had this huge dust. I'm allergic to dust mites. And when I sat down in my office here, and put my computer down, the dust just went all up into the air. And then the sun was coming in the window, and it put all the dust mites. And I was choking so hard, and I'm still kind of like, my throat is still kind of groggy. So if I clear my throat from time to time, that is why. So I
We'll forgive
apologize.
you. It's okay.
Yeah, I apologize for that. But I just wanted to explain that to people, that no, I am not her. I guess, her representative, one of her 29 representatives that are here. And all of us were her. We were trained. We were all there with her at that time. We were all trained Magdalene priestesses in her order that she started. She started her own order when she was here, and we were all trained in that order. And that is why we are here again representing her, because we are her priestesses that were there then. So that is why we are back here representing her frequency, and carrying her frequency for her on this planet, and holding that light, gridding that light on this planet.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to tell, because there's a lot of people who write to me about this all the time, and it's like, no, I'm not. I mean, I literally have had 2 different Native American shaman in person see me morph into her. That's what they said. They said I was morphing into her, and they were freaking out, by the way. They were like literally
Yeah.
freaking out. And they said I morphed into her, and it's like, no, I'm not her, but I'm carrying her frequency. So that is what you are
You
seeing.
have a deep connection. I mean, if you want to put it really simply, like you know, she's her own being, but
She is her own
when
being.
we're connected to
We're
somebody,
very
we
connected to
have
her.
a similar frequency that we carry. So that's probably
Hmm.
what they were seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, definitely not her. I don't know if I could walk in her shoes because she's pretty amazing, but um
Very advanced.
I'm doing the best I can to assist her, but I'm definitely not her. And plus she's lucky too to be the wife of, our brother Yeshua.
Yeshua. Oh,
Yeah.
so I wanted to talk about just real quick about,
Mhm.
so I did a little quick ceremony with my husband on the solstice.
Mhm.
And so this kind of leads into what we're going to talk about the Elohim. So what I saw was Yeshua came and
Mhm.
like out of nowhere, he just said, the Elohim are high frequency beings of light. They create spirit and matter. And on my last video, I accidentally said they created um, spirit and the world or the earth accidentally. But when you look
Yeah, they
it up,
didn't create the earth.
well, when you look it up biblically, it does say that.
Yeah.
It says they created the world. So I don't know how much of that is inversion.
Mm.
But Yeshua told me
They create worlds, but
they
not this
create
one.
spirit and matter. So that's all that he said. I was like,
Yeah.
and I looked at my husband and I went, why is he telling me that's so random, like out of
Yeah.
nowhere? And that's all that he said about them. And then the next day, the internet just blew up about how evil the Elohim are and that they're all these fallen angels and
Which
tricksters.
is why we're going to talk about it today, because they're
So
spreading
I was like,
lies about the Elohim.
yeah. So I was like, oh, Yeshua knew that was coming. And so he was warning me, don't get sucked into that narrative. We're gonna talk about this.
There's a guy named Cliff
Needs to be
High, and
addressed.
there's a bunch of others out there that are spreading misinformation that the Elohim are evil. And I want everyone to understand that the people who are spreading the info that they're evil have no psychic connection whatsoever. They're not psychics. They're not intuitive. They're not connected to source, and they're being controlled by a lot of entities. They have a lot of entity
Yeah.
attachments that are controlling them and
Well,
stuff.
and one of the people that was
Yeah.
promoting this narrative was we never will put names on this channel because I don't believe in cutting people down and calling people, you
Yeah.
know,
And I'm
out.
not saying Cliff
'Cause-
High is a bad guy. I'm just saying he was spreading misinformation, but he was getting it from someone else. It isn't his
right.
information. He
I'm
wasn't getting it direct. He was
Yeah.
getting
Oh,
it
I'm
from
talking about
somebody
when somebody in the spiritual
else.
community that's a tarot
Yeah.
reader.
Hmm.
So like I don't want to name any names because I really like this person's energy actually
Hmm.
that was promoting this. So what I think is that sometimes if we don't set intentions to have the purest truth come through, sometimes things can be
It's infiltrated,
like the card, yeah,
basically.
the cards can be infiltrated if you don't every time set your intention to have those cards protected and to have source come through and give the truth. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's pretty easy when you're using divination tools to get infiltrated. So that's why it's kind of like if you don't know what you're doing, it's a little bit dangerous, you know?
Hmm.
So, and it's not like that this person is a bad person that was doing that. And I do think that we need to like support each other and come together in unity. Somebody that I just met that is a friend of yours, she channels Yeshua. It's
Michaela?
Michaela.
Yeah, she's
Michaela.
awesome.
Yeah, she's a sweet spirit. I really like her. And she said that we all need to just stand together as a family of light and support
Hmm.
each other so that we
Hmm.
don't get infiltrated and so that we
Yep.
can help each other
Hmm.
rather than just saying, oh, this person's evil. That
Everybody's
person's-"
fighting each other and trying to take
Yeah,
each other down. And I have no interest
yeah,
in being any part of that. I mean, that's why you never see me
yeah,
on my Facebook or YouTube naming a bunch of names. And people,
right.
just so you all know, everybody who's watching, you guys keep going into the comments and asking me, is this person good? Is that person good? I am never going to answer your question in those comments about a specific person. If you want to know, you better message me
You gotta go with,
privately,
you have to go within
or you have to
and
learn.
try to
Yeah,
read that energy and try to learn how to discern.
you
Like,
need to learn,
and
which
I think
is, yeah,
part of the reason that this is happening is so that we can learn discernment.
discernment, which is what
Like
well, I
it's
teach my
a
clients
lesson. It's a
discernment. That's
lesson.
what,
And it's not that anybody is, no one person is all evil or all good. We
no,
all have the potential
we
to be
all,
good and
yeah.
evil. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
We all have a shadow side and a light side. So
Hmm.
going around pointing the fingers at, oh, this person's completely this way or completely that way, it isn't going to serve us. It's like, oh, that person made a
Yeah.
mistake, maybe was infiltrated that day, or
Yeah.
some people I think are constantly infiltrated. Like if you see a channel where that person is mostly their content is based on calling out other spiritual teachers, then that's
Mhm.
probably somebody that's infiltrated because that's all that they're doing
Oh,
is
I've seen a couple
manipulating.
channels where every video is this one woman picking a different spiritual channel each week and
Right.
picking them apart and
Yep.
assassinating them.
Yep.
She's
And
a, I'm sorry, but that's just
awful.
wrong. That
Yeah.
behavior is
Yeah.
totally
It's
wrong.
awful. So if somebody is that their whole channel's based on just picking on people,
Uh-huh.
that's completely negative forces working through that because that's we need to come into unity.
Well,
Can't call
back,
stuff out. Like we're calling something out right now. Like we don't resonate with the narrative that all the Elohim are evil. So we're gonna
mhm,
get on here and we're gonna say what our personal experiences are with the Elohim. And I personally,
yeah,
the Elohim came to me, and it's a certain group of Elohim, and they called themselves the Elohim of the Blue Ray. And I had never
uh-huh.
heard of that in my life. As you know, I grew up in the Mormon church, so like none of this stuff I had any idea about. And I was just like, who's the Elohim of the Blue Ray? I had no idea who they were. And I just said, okay. And I checked in with, source creator. And I said, are these people okay to commune with? And I just said, yeah, can't you feel their frequency? Like that's one of the ways we discern is feeling into the being's frequency. And it was a very high, yeah, it was high vibrational. Their messages, if you go back and listen to my videos, when I bring forth messages from the Elohim of the Blue Ray, it's all very empowering, positive messages. So that's one of the ways we can discern. Is it
Absolutely.
empowering or is it disempowering? Is it cutting everybody down and picking on everybody, or are we trying to lift each other up? So yeah, so I think the Elohim of the Blue Ray, when I feel into them, that's a very positive group of Elohim. And then I was like trying to search online. I was like, well, is anybody else getting messages from this group? And there's very few people that are connected with this group. So there's very little online about these Elohim of the Blue Ray. But there is a few things that I found. So it's not just me. I'm not the only one that's getting information from them. So
Mhm.
I would like to know, like, have you had personal experience with Elohim?
So my higher self, so I just found this out in recent times because I've been dribbled. So since I was a child, information has been dribbled into me at the rate that my human brain can
That's how
handle
they do
it,
it. Yep.
and that I'm ready for it and my ego is ready for it. So I finally got rid of like all my ego several years ago. Like when I say ego, I mean the dark side of ego. Okay, so everybody has an ego. You have to have an ego to be on planet Earth. I've talked about it before in my books, what I call the dark side of the ego. So like jealousy, possessiveness, competition, the need to be right, being a know-it-all, thinking you're better or more important than others, all those shadow parts of people, jealousy, all those meanness, narcissism, all those parts of ego, thinking, oh, I'm all that in a bag of chips. I, I haven't had, I've never had any of those, but then I've had like a few little things, a few little negative kind of things that I have conquered and I got rid of. And so because I got rid of that, now I'm getting more information that I wasn't ready to receive until I cleared away those parts of me, those shadow parts of me that wouldn't accept that information, coming through in a love and light kind of a way, I guess you can say.
Yeah. And
And
also
so,
part of the ego is just the indoctrination that all of us have
yeah, a lot of it
been
is
accepted to
indoctrination. I mean,
over
I was
our lifetime.
indoctrination from the school system and the church
And you grew
system.
up Catholic,
I was hardcore Catholic. I mean, I was
we're
saying my
both
rosaries and sing.
indoctrinated by religious systems.
Yeah,
We all have to like
yeah.
shed. It's about shedding, like this
Hmm.
snake skin shedding and rebirth. And so that's how we start to
Yeah,
be able to open ourselves up to new information that we're not used to.
yeah.
And spirit will only give us like line upon line, precept upon precept as we are ready to ingest it. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. So anyway, so what I finally found out recently was that my higher self, my higher self. Okay, so I talk about this in my book, Ascension 101. I break down all the parts of the soul, like the oversoul and the monad and the higher self. I break all these things down in that book to explain it in a that's why it's called Ascension 101. It's very basic language for people who have newly woken up, who aren't all sciencey. My brain cannot wrap itself around, and Kat and I talked about this earlier. My brain can't wrap around some of the things that people put out. Like somebody who I really love is Lisa Renee. Is that her name? I think. And
Yep.
Marina Jacoby is another one I really love. But when I listen to their videos, the information just goes over my head because it's too scientific. It's just too scientific. And I'm a right brainer. I'm a creative. I sing, I draw, I do art, I do crafts. I write music, I write poetry, I play piano. I'm visual, and I'm a clairvoyant, which means visual. I see when I give sessions to people, I'm seeing their life and their future in movies. It's very visual kind of thing.
And that's why we're all needed, because we all express
Yeah.
ourselves and teach
Yeah.
in different ways and learn in
Mhm.
different ways,
Yep.
so that we're
Yep.
all needed. Because I love Lisa Renee's stuff as well. And I
Yep.
actually have printed out a little excerpt that I wanted to read from her. But
Hmm.
she is very like complicated, high level
It's
information.
really high level, and it goes over my
Yeah,
head, and I don't
yeah. But
understand
it
some
does
of this
resonate with
stuff, but it
me.
resonates. It resonates.
Yeah.
And the same with Marina. I don't know if you've listened to Marina Jacoby, but her information is very powerful and amazing and wonderful, but a lot of it goes over my head because it's just too deep into the left brain. I mean, I sit there and I sometimes have to turn her off because I start to get a headache because my brain, and it's not her
Complicated.
fault. It's just that she's more of an analytical
That's
lefty
how
kind of
she
person,
expresses herself.
and
Yeah,
she's
you and I
freaking
are more like,
brilliant. And she's
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
You
But there's
know,
a place for people like you and I,
yeah.
bringing forth information in a more simple way for
Hmm.
people who are like newly leaving religion,
Hmm.
or just newly leaving this whole system of illusion,
Yeah.
that are just like needing just some basic information,
Yep.
and even more than basic. But like, I think that you and I present our stuff in a very like
I
easy
do it a
to
very
understand, simple way. Mhm.
yeah.
So people can ingest it. And that's just, I feel like that's kind of like why you and I connect.
Yep. And I
Uh,
give it to people in bite-sized pieces that they can chew off and they can swallow and digest and really integrate it into their being before they go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
yeah.
And so what I found out recently, and keep in mind, I'm not in my ego. I don't think I'm better or more important than anyone else on this planet. I think we're all brothers and sisters. We're all connected and we're all one, and we're all here to support each other. But my higher self, I'm a fractal of that higher self, is an Elohim, my higher self. Okay. So I also found out that my consciousness has been in a star, and in 53, I have my higher self, not me, Kimberly. I'm a fractal of that higher self. My higher self has been the consciousness of over 53 different stars throughout history. 53 different stars. And I'm going to go into all the notes in a minute of who the Elohim are, what they do, and how they're connected to the stars, and all of that in a minute. But I am like a fractal of that person. And I even asked, because one time I was dreaming, well, I wasn't really dreaming. I was out in the what we call the etheric realm, traveling at night, in the astral realm. And I actually looked back and saw my wings, and I have like four of them. I have four of them. So it was kind of cool because I'd never done that before. I'd not like looked back and seen
Yeah.
what do I look
That's
like?
really interesting, because like when I started getting messages,
Mhm.
they would always end the messages with woman of the stars. So I was like, what does that mean? Like when I was first, starting to hear spirit, they would always say woman of the stars. And then like really recently I posted on my Facebook that I filmed it. It was so weird. It was a star, and it was just like kind of pulsing different colors.
Mhm.
And I said, "Does this look like a normal star to you guys?" And then our friend Robin, she said, "That's not a star. That's like something communicating with you. That's like plasma." Like I was like, "Wow, like that's just crazy." And then like when I was young, like really young, I always like wanted to get a tattoo of an angel, like And then my last angel tattoo that I've really wanted, it has 6 wings. It's like a seraphim with 6 wings. So I do believe, and when I communicate with these beings, they will often appear to me in the form of an angel with these giant wings. So there is something to that. I mean, I don't know if they're just appearing like that because we want to see them like that, but that's how I see them too. So it's pretty interesting because that all kind of aligns.
Well, one aspect of my higher self, and it's just an aspect of it, because you have to understand that you can have an oversoul that breaks itself up into a lot of different things. But one aspect of my higher self is the 12th density angel. That's the form of myself that sings with the heavenly choir and sits on angel tribunals and judges the bad guys that are getting into trouble and stuff like that. But yeah, that's
I was given the word council, that I'm on some sort of council. I'm not sure yet.
You're on a council.
Yeah, I'm still getting information of what that council is.
You may find out when I tell you in the notes, because I have notes about the councils and stuff. So you may figure it out today when I go over.
Yeah, maybe. So I want to
So,
let everybody know that Kimberly and I, we both kind of tapped into what the Elohim are and separately. And so we haven't heard each other's notes. And so it's going to be interesting to see if what you got as opposed to what I got, that kind of matches up a little bit. Like it'll be interesting to see our different stuff that we got. I got mine this morning and I think you did yours last night, right?
yeah, I had gotten some of this information already from before, but last night I just qualified a lot of stuff and I asked new questions. Some of it I already knew.
Let's go over what you got first.
So this is what's called the heavenly hierarchy. So first of all, I want to go over what the heavenly hierarchy is, and it's actually in my book. I don't have my book here. I talk about it, but basically when God decided to split itself off and experience things, because that's what it is, it's just experiencing through all these different beings that it's created. As a parent, it has these children and then grandchildren and great grandchildren. Basically, as it split itself off into these different groups and subgroups and whatever, it's created a hierarchy. God is mother, father, God, and the first level that it created was the Elohim. The Elohim so first of all, everybody has to understand that everything that's created in space and time comes from sound, color, frequency, and vibration. And also
that totally resonates with me because one day, all of a sudden I got this download that you come from the realm of sound. That's what I said. Wow, what does that mean? And as a musician, I thought that was pretty cool.
Right. I know, because I'm a singer and piano player and I play other instruments too, but yeah, totally it resonates. So basically, there are 190,000 Elohim that were created by the prime creator. They are considered creator gods, but they're not really gods. They're celestial beings. They're like angelic, but they're not exactly the angels, because I'm going to go into that layer next. So the first layer I'm going to talk about, because I'm going to talk about each layer. The first layer was the Elohim, and they have different rays of the rainbow, different color rays. So there is a group of Elohim that are the blue ray Elohim. That is one group. There's also the emerald order of Elohim, the emerald green Elohim, or order of the emerald order. Those are Elohim. There's the ruby, ruby red. There's pink. There's the pink order, there's green, there's all these different, colors. There's a yellow, a golden, it's actually called a golden. It's not yellow, but it's a golden. There's a golden aura,
I actually
order.
see a lot of golden around you. That's interesting.
That's interesting. I'm actually a Blu-ray Elohim.
Yeah, we're both Blu-rays, but I still see a little bit of gold in you too.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the gold. Thank you. Okay, so I just heard he was saying that the gold ray is the Christed. That's the Christ.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So
So
yeah,
carrying the Christos light, maybe.
carrying the Christos. Yeah, frequency. So, okay, I'm not Christ. Okay, I'm not saying I'm Christ. I'm just saying I have a little fractal of
Carry the
that, you know, a
Christos
little,
frequency, yeah, like,
yeah,
well, anybody who has a Christos mission on earth is gonna be
we
carrying.
all are, and
That makes sense.
there's millions of us actually. So, you know,
Yeah.
okay, so there's 190,000. They're all in groups. Yeshua refers to them as God's helpers. And what they do is they create planets, universes, star systems, stars. Planet Earth was created. So our universe, I asked who created our universe. He said a group, a little group of 8 of the Elohim created this universe. 8 of them came together to create this universe that we're in, and Earth. So the planet Earth and all the stars were created by a group of 8 Elohim that constructed all that. The planet itself was terraformed many times over and built all over by what's called the ancient builder races, which are a type of extraterrestrial that's really ancient, you know, ancient
I'm gonna
extraterrestrial.
stop you right there because there's 2 things that are coming to mind right now that
Mhm.
resonate with what you're saying. The first was I heard, like, this morning, I heard the Council of 9, and I was like, "Hmm, what does that mean?" So I'm wondering if it's the Council of 9 is the 8 Elohim plus God, the creator, the source creator. Maybe that's the Council of 9?
I
I don't
don't know. I've
know.
never asked what the Council of 9 is, so I've never
It just
asked.
came to me, like, maybe that's why they
I've
said
never
that this
been
morning
talked to
because
about
you were gonna
it.
be talking about it. I don't know what the Council of
They've
9 is, but
never
I heard
talked to
that.
me about that ever. They've never talked to
I
me
just heard
about
that
it.
this morning and I didn't know what it meant. I'm just wondering if what you're
I'd
saying.
have to go and talk to him again and find out what that is,
Yeah,
because
me too.
I've
And
never.
then what else were you talking about? There was
So let me finish because I'll go off track. I have ADD
okay.
really bad. I mean, for all of
Okay.
you who don't know me, I do have ADD, and if I get off track, it's not a good thing. So let me finish with this. So they create planets and universes, stars and star systems, time, space, dimension. You know, they're the ones that go and do all that because God wanted to experience things. So he created these Elohim, and that's what they do. Now, the question of are they good or bad? There are no bad Elohim. Why? Because Elohim is like the arm and the foot and the head and the hair of God. Okay, so imagine if you're God, is God good? Absolutely. God is not evil, right? God doesn't want to destroy. God is unconditional love and creation. That's all God is love and creation. And so are the Elohim bad? There are 0 bad Elohim, because that would be like, then God is bad, and then we're all doomed. If God were to go bad, we're all FUCK'd. I mean, we are screwed if he goes bad. Okay. So that isn't going to happen. So there are no bad Elohim. Now, where you get the good and evil and people screwing up is when you get into mortal souls, which is part of the hierarchy. I'm going to explain when you get into what are called mortal souls. So a mortal soul could be a reptilian, it could be a human, it could be a gray, it could be a Pleiadian. Those are mortal souls. They're not angelics. And the angelics can go bad too, which are called the fallen angels. They left, and we're going to talk about those. Those are in part of my hierarchy notes that he explained to me. So, so that's what the Elohim are. They have different rays and groups of them. There's 190,000 of them. 8 of them created this particular star system that we're in. And they can also be the consciousness of the stars as well, which is really cool. They could be the consciousness of a planet. They could even be the whole Hyros gammas. I mean, they're really cool. So there's that. The next layer down that was created were the archangels. And those are like Michael, he's the head boss of the archangels. You've got Raphael and Gabriel and Uriel, you know, all those different archangels in there. Those are real. Those are the real deal. I've been chatting with those dudes since I was a little baby thing, since I was a little kid. And then the next layer down from them is what Yeshua calls the heavenly host. And when I said, who are the heavenly hosts? He said they're the angel armies that fight all the, you know, that protect all the universes, and you know, they're the protectors of everything and fight all the demons and all that kind of thing. And then the next layer down is what are called the guardians. So those are the angels that are the guardians of like earth, guardians of people, guardian angel, my higher self aspect, that's part of my other higher, my even higher self is a guardian. So, and then there's what are called Oraphim, and I'm like, what are the Oraphim exactly? Because what they say on the internet is not true. Because if you go on and look up Oraphim, it's not going to always be what's true. He calls them the advisors or counselors to God. They're like the council. They're like the council or the advisors, So you know how the king always had an advisor. When you have a king, he always had an advisor. So the Oraphim are the advisors to God. The next level down are the Seraphim, and um and I'm like, what did the Seraphim do? And he said they are warriors who forge new horizons. That's how this is his language he was using. I don't speak like this. Okay. He speaks in totally
Oh, that
different
makes sense. Yeah.
ways that I speak, but he called them warriors who forge new horizons. I actually personally know several of them. Like I know them, like here on earth, they have aspects that are in bodies on earth here, a lot of them. They go into space and they hunt down the heathens who have broken the laws of God and the universe. That's what he said. This was his words. He
Interesting.
said they go into space. I said, what did they do exactly? He said they go into space, they hunt down the heathens. He used the word heathen. He used it to me several times last night when I was talking. And when I asked him, what do you mean by heathen? He said, anybody who is breaking the laws of God in the universe.
Antichristos.
Yeah, they're anti-Christos. They're the antichrist, basically. So they're breaking the laws of the universe. They're breaking God's laws. He refers to them as heathens. Okay. And so then the next layer down, you're going to love this, is the healing angels. They're angels that are responsible for healing. And that's the next level down from that, which I find very cool since I'm a healer. That's very cool to me.
I heard one, this channel that I love, it's called Earth 111. I don't know if you've heard of it, but she was just talking about how uh, most of us have aspects of ourselves in all these different dimensions, in the 12 different dimensions. Like, so I find this really fascinating, like that maybe you could be like a fractal of yourself in all of these different dimensions doing these different jobs. What,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about that?
Well, the thing is that an oversoul or monad or whatever, or like even an angelic can break itself into, and that is what they showed in the Harry Potter movie with the he who shall not be named breaking himself into 12 things and hiding them in horcruxes, which are these different things like a coin or a goblet or this or that, hiding fractals of his soul so that he couldn't be destroyed.
Mm,
What they were showing you is your oversoul can break itself up into different things and all have different experiences all at the same time. There
right.
could be the higher self of Kimberly, which is not named Kimberly, by the way. I have a different name, which I'm not going to share on social media, but because it's very personal. But my oversoul could break itself off into all these different beings that could all be having experiences on Earth. There could be 20 of me here right now. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And even when you're incarnated as a person, I believe that parts of your soul can fractal off when you have trauma. And that's what
Mhm.
shamanic work of like soul retrieval, like
Yeah.
healing and bringing back parts of yourself that have fractaled off. So that can happen maybe in other dimensions where you can uh, fractal yourself off in a good way, where you're
That's a different
expanding.
thing. Yeah, those are
Like,
two different things. You
yeah,
can
they're both different
fractal,
things, but they can go either way. And so you're
right.
expanding in a good way too, so that your
Yeah.
soul can do more
You can fractal your soul
work,
off,
more
and they
experience.
do that when they do ritual sexual abuse on children, and when they take all these celebrities and do terrible brain like MK Ultra kind of stuff, they fractal their soul. Every time you have somebody who traumatizes you, like let's say you're in an abusive marriage, that person is taking a piece of your soul,
Yeah,
actually.
so that's why it needs healing, and you need to like reintegrate that part of your soul when you're ready
Mhm.
to integrate it. Anyway,
Yep.
I thought that was interesting. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so the next layer down is the founders The angels, he calls them the founders. And I'm like, who
Now,
are
are
the
the founder and the builder races the same?
No,
Okay.
the founders go out to star systems and set up really specific, more intricate kind of systems within those star systems. So more layers down of systems. So you've got the ones that go and create the universes, and then you've got the ones that go into those universes and do very specific technical, think of them more as like the engineers, I guess, where they're
Yeah.
doing more engineering kind of things.
Mhm.
And they also create beings. They can create like different kinds of beings as well. So you've got those. And then the next layer down is the music and choral angels, which I've sat on that before. I mean, I've been part of that. I can actually hear when I first started getting my clairaudience online, it scared the hell out of me, but it made me happy at the same time because I was standing in my pantry. I'll never forget the moment my clairaudience fully came online. I was opening the pantry door and I started to hear the heavenly choir sing in my head.
Wow.
And I went all over the house looking for a radio or a TV turned on or something. And I was freaked out. I'm like, I'm hearing a choir sing. What the hell is wrong with? I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought, am I having a nervous breakdown? What's going on? This was many, 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 many years ago.
Mhm.
Okay. This was like 25 years ago or something. Okay. And I was in, because I'm 58. And so I was like in a pantry and I started hearing the heavenly choirs
That's
sing.
amazing. Well,
And
both of
so,
us sing, so we could
yeah.
record that
And
too.
then
Yeah.
from that point on, I was hearing them all the time. And then I started writing Christian music back then. I was writing Christian lyrics of songs I was hearing from heaven that we don't have on earth here. And I was writing all the words down and I was memorizing the tunes that they were putting in my head. And they were quite incredible. Um, I mean, it was just,
And
it
I was
was,
shown in a past life that I was an opera singer too.
well, I am in this life. I'm a trained
Yeah.
opera
In
singer,
this life,
but
I'm more of a rock and roll type of a
I
girl.
can't sing rock and roll. I can only sing opera. I have a very vibrato-y voice, I'm, more like,
Yeah.
oh mio babino
Yeah.
caro. That's my voice. So, I'm
Well,
more,
I think we want to have different experiences in each incarnation.
yeah. Anyways, okay. So the next level down from the music and choral department of heaven is the cherubs, or cherubim as they call them. And then he said that there's many other types, but I was getting close to bed. I mean, I had to go to sleep. I was getting tired and I wanted to move through it. So I just said, at this point, I don't need to hear more. So then we went on to the next thing and I was asking him, so then the next layer down after the angels were created, they created, what I call, the station of the Christ. Okay. The station of the Christ, which is, you know, Yeshua, Buddha, Mother Mary, the station of the Christ is a lot of beings. What people need to understand or understand is Yeshua is the Christ for this star system and this planet, but
Yeah.
there are other Christed beings that are in charge of other planets and other star systems.
Yeah. And
Okay.
even other Christed beings that
And
are
there are other
for this
Christed
one
beings
too.
with this planet. So
He's always
Buddha
told
is
me I'm
also
not the only one.
no, Buddha is a Christed being.
Yep.
There was a guy that walked the earth, Serapis Bey. There's
I connect with Kuan Yin.
yeah, Kuan Yin is a
Love
Christed
her
being.
energy.
There's a whole list, there's a laundry list of beings that have walked the earth that were Christed beings, okay? Not just him. He's
Yeah.
not the only
He
one.
always said I'm not the only one. That's what he told
No, no. John the Baptist, who came before him, was also, who was it that I found out he was? He was either Melchizedek or Elijah. I can't remember which one. It's in my book
me.
because it's in my book. If you read my book, Walking with Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, I explained who John the Baptist was, and he's also a Christed being, but he was like, um, before that, he was like Melchizedek or Elijah or somebody like that, or, he was one of the prophets. So, and then he came,
About Moses
hmm?
being, have you ever gotten anything about Moses?
Um, I I actually, well, my friend Victoria Reynolds, she was actually Moses's brother Aaron in a past incarnation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she knows a lot more about it. I haven't really discussed Moses with him other than the fact, I mean, I have. Okay, I did a video about Moses, but I don't want to go into that now, all about, because that's going to put me off on another, and I'm going to get really distracted. So,
This will be a
yeah,
really
I'm
long
not,
video.
you're getting me totally
But do you
off
think he's a Christed
kilter.
being?
Hmm?
Do you think he's a Christed being?
No, not at all.
Because I feel like he's one of my guides.
He could be one of your guides, but he's not a Christed being. He was just a very you have to understand that he was part Anunnaki.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
He
interesting.
had Anunnaki blood because his mother was the Pharaoh's daughter. Okay, now you're
Wow.
gonna make me get into this.
He's
I'm gonna
texted
get
me
you. No,
several
just
times
kidding.
and
You're
he's
gonna make
like
me get
always
into this.
so positive.
Okay,
Like,
here's the thing.
he tricking me?
He was a good guy. His father was uh a Jewish priest. He was a Jew. The father was a Jew. The mother was the Pharaoh's daughter. She was having an affair with a Jew. She got pregnant, and she was an Anunnaki, part human, royal, being, royal, Egyptian being. She gave birth to Moses, and they passed it off they couldn't tell the people of Egypt, oh, my daughter had sex with the Jew. The Jews were the slaves, right? So
Yeah.
they couldn't do that. So they pretended that she found him and adopted him, and all that was all a made up story so that she wouldn't get her ass kicked. But he
Oh,
he was raised, he was trained in the order of Melchizedek. He had a staff that had a crystal on the top of it. It was very similar to Gandalf or Merlin or something like that. And he had Gandalf Merlin like powers.
yeah.
Yeah. And he was trained to do all of that. He had everything he did. He had all the full training and everything to do what he did when he parted the sea, all that stuff. He was a very high level priest, but he was part Anunnaki, and he was using his superpowers.
Wow. But you don't think he was a bad person? Like,
No, he wasn't bad. In fact, when he went up in the ship, he went up on that Mount Sinai. He didn't just go up there and disappear for 40 years. Think about it. A man all by himself with no food, no shelter, no nothing for 40 years, and then came back down. Bullshit. That, I mean,
I
you're
don't,
logical. If you have a logical human brain, you know that that's not a possibility. He went into a ship. Where did the tablets come from? They weren't inscribed by God on stone. They were given to the people. You have to understand that back in that time, the people were totally chaotic. They were living in chaos and debauchery, and they were doing warring. Everybody was warring with each other and raping and killing and pillaging, and nobody was following rules. They were having sex with animals, and they were sacrificing humans and sacrificing animals and all kinds of things they were
bad
doing.
news. Yeah.
Yeah, they were just doing crazy ass shit. Lots of adultery going on, just all kinds of bad things. The Andromedans were have always been kind of coming back and forth to Earth, giving us help, giving us a little bit of help here, a little bit of help there. The Andromedans sucked him up, gave him this stuff to put out there to the people and say, oh, God gave this to you, because then they'd believe it. They're not going to believe extraterrestrials gave it to them, right? So he had to say, oh, God gave me these tablets. But it was extraterrestrials, and those laws that you see on the Ten Commandments are part of the law of one. That's the laws of the universe. It's God's laws. Those are God's laws. Remember when I said Yeshua was referring to people as the heathens that were breaking God's laws? The Ten Commandments, part of those God's laws. The first law of the law of one is do not interfere with others' free will. You're not supposed to interfere. You're not supposed to force people to do stuff against their free will, which is what the dark controllers have done on this planet for 25,000 years, right? So the thing is that Moses brought those laws to the people to create law and order, because they didn't have any law and order back then. They were just running amok and doing all kinds of nasty, perverted, disgusting shit. Okay, so they had I mean, you had in Egyptian, if you ever read the book Ancient Evenings by Norman Mailer, I think that's what it's called, but it was a story of ancient Egypt, and it was based on real research he did. They were doing the pharaohs were all having sex with their little children, like their little girls, and their sons making them do terrible things. I'm not even going to go into it, but they were doing mass pedophilia. They were doing they were having sex with other family members, you know, to keep the bloodline pure, which actually caused problems. It didn't keep the bloodline pure. But they were doing just terrible, disgusting, gross, making me kind of vomit kind of
Don't you
things
think
back then.
that the kings and queens that rule this earth right now are still doing that stuff?
Yes.
I do
Yes.
too.
Every day,
Like
all
my
day
last
long.
video, it was like, who are the
Ugh,
kings and queens of New Earth? And
yeah.
that's what I was told is like the old kings and queens are the false rulers of
Oh,
this
they're
realm,
disgusting.
and they're still doing that stuff. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like
They do pedophilia every day.
the
They
new
do child
kings. Yep.
sacrificing, all
So
that
the
kind of
new
thing.
kings and queens are the people who are carrying like Christos consciousness, who are bringing that back to the planet. And
Hmm.
those people are not going to be able to be here anymore because the planet's frequency is raising
Hmm.
incrementally. And it's going to get to the point where they're just so dark that they won't be able to exist here anymore. Does that
Yep.
resonate with you at all?
Yep. Yep, absolutely. So now I got to get back to what we were talking about.
Okay,
So
sorry.
after the heavenly hierarchy, what did we say? So you got your Elohim, then you got your archangels, and you got your different layers of angels, right? Your different stations. Yeshua calls them the different stations of the angels, the different stations they hold, the different things that they do, just like the station of the Christ. They're stations of angels, okay? So you have those, and then you've got the Christed thing, and then you've got the builder. After that, you've got the builder races, the really ancient extraterrestrial races that are what we call mortal souls. So you've got angelic souls, Christed souls, mortal, just regular mortal kind of souls, which Christed souls can be a mortal soul that can achieve Christ consciousness. But a mortal soul and an angel cannot swap. Okay, if you're a mortal soul, you can't become an angel, and an angel can't become a mortal soul, because it's how it was created in the beginning. In the very beginning, it's like you can't change a zebra stripes unless you paint them. You can pretend it's something else. You can paint over it with makeup and pretend it's something, dress it up like something, but really inside it's a mortal soul or it's an angel. You can't swap those out. And so the mortal souls, you have different branches of extraterrestrials. You've got your ancient builder race of extraterrestrials, then you've got the other ones, and the Pleiadians and the Lyrans and the blah blah blah, and on all the way down to humans, right? Now, somewhere in there was created what are called the elementals, and they're a different type of a soul. If you're a fairy soul, you were created as a fairy or as a dragon. There's dragon souls too. And so there are actual spirits that were created that way, but there's also people on earth who have been dragons and other. It's kind of really complicated. It gets complicated because you have specific souls that were created a specific way, but then you have beings, like a being that's what it's kind of like our meat puppet suit that a soul can go into. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you understand that? So
Yeah.
you've got like a spirit that was created to be a certain way, but then you can have like a meat suit or whatever, or and the meat suit could be a dragon, and then a mortal soul becomes a dragon, or something like that. So there's different versions of this because we're multi-dimensional beings, and we live in a multiverse, so anything is possible. Okay. So there's that. So those are real. I mean, I know plenty of people who have seen fairies. I actually had a neighbor, and she was a fairy. And not only was she a fairy before she incarnated into a physical body, like her soul was a fairy, but her physical human body looked just like a fairy, except a giant one. So she
That's
looked
funny
like
because
a,
I've always thought fairies were BS, But then
oh, hell no.
when my son was like 3 years old, he said, "Mom, there's like a little fairy in Grandma's garden out in the front yard." I was like, "What?" Like, So that kind of changed my opinion.
My
When
daughter has
I
been
think little
seeing
kids can
them.
really see
Yeah.
clairvoyantly before they're
Mhm.
indoctrinated and told
Yeah.
that not all of this stuff is not
Yeah.
real. You know?
Yeah. My daughter's been seeing the fairies since she was a little girl, and she still sees them everywhere. And she said that they're troublemakers, and they don't like humans at all because we're destroying the planet, because they're actually
Yeah.
guardians of nature. What the fairies are is they're the guardians of Mother Nature, of all the trees and the flora and the fauna. They're like the guardians of that. And humans are destroying that. And so they do not like us at all.
What would you say would be the difference between a fairy or and an elemental, or are they the same
They
thing?
are an elemental.
Okay,
So an
so
elemental is a multi-dimensional being that can go in, it can snap itself in and out of dimensions. So you and I, as a mortal soul right now in this body, I can't go boing and make myself go into different places and dimensions. They can do that. They
wow.
are, an elemental is a multi-dimensional being that can literally go in and out of wherever it wants to go in and out
Yeah.
of.
So I
So
have seen an elemental like with my physical eyes.
yeah.
I was in this place that's kind of known in Utah, down in Salt Lake, to be kind of like a mystical place. It's really close to our capital. They're in
Uh-huh.
this big park there, and I was walking, and it was at night, and all of a sudden, this kind of green glowing being poked behind a tree like this, and I just like at that time I didn't have all my clairvoyant skills, so I had no idea what it was. I just knew that it wasn't human, and
It's elemental.
I flipped around and just hightailed it out of there because I wasn't sure what it was. But now
Mhm.
looking back, I'm like, yeah, that was definitely an elemental. It was in the forest. It kind of had a beautiful green
Well,
thing.
that's what I was gonna say. So I
It seemed
was,
like a protector of that
yeah.
area.
So have you heard of the term jinn? The jinn, the
Yeah,
jinn. Okay, they are real, and they will appear as a green orb sometimes. There was one, so we had what was called a water jinn. There are water jinn. There's jinn that represent different types of elements. So you have air jinn, water jinn, or
the
you have
jinn
different.
were like more demonics.
Hmm?
I thought the jinn were demonics.
Some are and some aren't. So it's
Okay,
just like everything else. There's good and bad. So just
yeah,
like the Anunnaki, which I'm going to get into. I wait till you get to my notes on the Anunnaki here. That's going to flip
yeah,
you out.
yeah.
Okay. So so the jinn, there's good and bad jinn. Okay. And when we were staying on a lake in it was for my daughter's 21st birthday, we rented a cabin on a lake in the middle of a huge national park. The cabins were owned by the government. They were government, they were owned by the National Park Service. We were staying, and I was out in the middle of the night, and I had witnesses, a whole bunch of people with me. We saw a green orb flying over the lake, and it came right at us. And then I ran back in the cabin because it freaked me out. And that was a water djinn. It's called a water djinn. And they are like the protectors of the water ways. So like a
Water
lake will
naga,
have it. Hmm?
kind of like a naga. Have you heard of a water, like the water nagas or something? I'm not
Never
sure.
heard that term. I don't know what that is.
More of an Indian.
Yeah, I've never heard that term, but it's like a water spirit, basically.
Yeah.
It's like the guardian of that water, like that water there, or whatever. It's connected to the water that's there. It's very sacred. And that was all Native American area at one time too. So, but we saw one, and it came right. It was hilarious. I don't think it was trying to harm us. I think it was actually trying to just kind of say hi, I mean, it
That's
was
how
just
I feel
coming up.
about the elemental spirit I saw. I think it was
I
just like,
didn't feel any
for real,
malevolence
here
at
we are,
all.
here I am. I'm real. Yeah, I didn't feel anything bad, but I just at the time I didn't know what it was.
It
So
was just kind of
yeah,
shocking. It was just kind of
yeah,
shocking and
to see
surprising.
something with your physical eyes like that,
Yeah.
clearly not human and was glowing, was just very strange at the time.
Okay, so now let's talk about the Anunnaki, and then I'm going to talk about the Nephilim. The Nephilim. So the Anunnaki, um, Yeshua calls them heathens. He said they broke and they continue to break God's laws all the time. I asked him where they came here from, and he said they came here from the star called Rigel, Rigel.
Never heard of that.
That's what he said. I said, where did they come here from? And he said, Rigel. And he said 40% of them are very bad, of
Yeah.
these Anunnaki. He said they just break God's laws every day of the week, like continuously. Okay. Those are the ones who edited our DNA down to 2-strand and turned us from crystalline to carbon and made us into the slave race that we are today, created the veil, created all this mess that we're in. And then the Draco came in and locked us down in a false matrix along with the Anunaki. You know, they all work together as a team, all these bad guys. But 40% of them are bad. So there's another 60% of Anunnaki that are not bad. They're actually good. So there's
I
good
found that almost
Anunnaki,
with
bad
everything that
Anunnaki.
I'm learning about from spirit, there's always a light
Yeah.
and dark
So let me explain
version
though
of
who the
everything.
Anunnaki are. They're not any kind of a heavenly thing. Anunnaki are just extraterrestrials that have really powerful technologies that they brought here to Earth to build pyramids and all the other stuff that they built. And that's all they are. They're just extraterrestrials, but the humans worship them like gods. This is what Yeshua said. He said humanity worshiped them like gods because of their technology and all their showy,
Yeah. They
theatrics.
seem like gods.
It's just
Yeah.
a bunch of theatrics, really. They made themselves look like gods, but they are not. They're just extraterrestrials that have this technology because they're an older civilization than we are.
Mhm.
So now I want to talk about the Nephilim because people always say, what are the Nephilim in the Bible? They talk about the Nephilim. Everybody's always asking about Nephilim, Nephilim, Nephilim. Nephilim are the fallen angels. They are giants. Now, keep in mind, they are not the same as the humanoid giant race. I happen to know several giants that I communicate with in the ethers. There are good giants and there are bad. So with what we call the humanoid giants, because there have been giants on this planet for billions of years, some are good and some are bad because they're just like humans. And the giants that are bad hate humans and eat humans. They do not like us. They will pop us in
And
their
that's
mouth
in the
like a
book of
candy.
Enoch,
Hmm?
actually. And that's in the book of Enoch.
Yeah, that's in the book of Enoch. However,
And he took that out.
The Nephilim are not those giants. The Nephilim are giants, but they are fallen angels from heaven. Okay. Because you have to understand that angels are not the height that we're at. When I'm in my higher self, it's 10 feet tall. So it would appear as a giant. Okay. So the Nephilim are giant angels. They are giant angels because all the angels are giant. There's even 200-foot tall angels in heaven, believe it or not. Those are the sentinel angels, by the way. I didn't talk about them earlier, but they're sentinel angels that are like 200 feet tall. So these Nephilim are fallen angels that came here with Lucifer 26,000 years ago. Okay. They came here with Lucifer 26,000 years ago. When he brought them with him, when he left heaven, and he was booted out of heaven, really. And they came here to Earth and they took over the Earth. They're the ones that caused the Atlantean civilization to go into utter chaos and caused the whole destruction of the Earth and the pole shifts and all the shit that went on back then that wiped out Atlantis and Lemuria. The Nephilim and Lucifer were the cause of all that. They were the cause of all that. So you have them. Some are good, some are bad. And that's it about them. They're the fallen angels. Oh, and I asked them, I said, are there still Nephilim? Now I don't want to scare anybody, but this is what, got to speak my truth. I said, are there any Nephilim on the earth right now? And he said, yes. And I said, how many of them are here? And he said, 43 of them. And I said, where are they? And he said, they are hiding in the mountains.
Hmm. Interesting. Hope I never come across one.
Yeah, they're hiding in the mountains. Okay. Because I said, where are they? They're hiding in the mountains. So there's 43 of those suckers, and they're big. They're these big things. They're big. Okay. They're hiding in the mountains.
Interesting.
Yeah, that doesn't make me too happy right now. Other thing I asked, I said, are there any other, because I know that I'm like a fractal of one of those Elohim. I said, are there any other of these Elohim on earth right now? He said that 3% of the Elohim are have like a fractal incarnated on earth as a human in a human body. And I said, what do you mean 3%? 5,700 of them are here right
Wow,
now.
that's a lot.
50, yeah,
I mean,
5,700.
that's not a lot, but it sounds
Yeah,
like a
so
lot
there's
compared to 3%.
5,700 people walking around the earth that have a chunk of an Elohim. And
Interesting. And that's probably why you and I were called to
Mhm.
kind of talk about this topic, because there is so much misinformation, I think, going around right now that they're all equal. Because do you and I seem demonic? I don't think so.
You know
Maybe some
what?
people think we are. I don't know.
I've been a loving, kind person my entire life. I've never done anything mean to anybody ever, ever, ever. And everybody who knows me can testify on my behalf in a court of law that they've never seen me in all the years I've been on this. I mean, my two grandmas went to their grave telling everybody what a perfect child I was. I mean, I always did everything everybody told me to do. And yeah, I don't have a mean bone in my body. So I'm not here for that. I'm here to hold a frequency of love. That is what I'm here for. And I can't be a lighthouse of love if I'm doing bad things. So it's just,
Yeah.
that's why.
Well, I know I'm human, so I know I definitely have not led a perfect life, because no human
Oh,
is
none
perfect.
of us are perfect. When I
But
was
I
in
think that,
college, I was drinking heavily and
yeah,
partying heavily, just like any
I
other
had my
human in
share of
college.
that too. So
I'm not, but
I
what
don't
I'm
want
saying is
people to
I've never
like
done anything
misunderstand that
bad.
we think that we're perfect, because we don't. We're not perfect.
Oh, I'm not perfect at all. I mean, I've had swearing fights with people
Yeah,
before and stuff. I mean,
I
but
cuss
have I
sometimes. I
purposely
used to
harmed
drink.
anyone?
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, we're not like evil. We don't like
I've
go
never
around
harmed anybody.
harming
I've never harmed an
children, or
animal,
like
never
the
harmed a
evil stuff that
person.
the fake kings and queens are doing, right? So I think
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, we're not perfect. I'm a human. I'm not going to say I'm perfect because I'm not a saint. Like my daughter will say, "Oh yeah, mom, you're really a saint." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. Are you kidding? You should have seen me in college. I was definitely not a saint."
We all had those days.
But at the same time, I've never ever done anything malevolent to any other human or animal ever that I've walked on this earth. The only person I've harmed is my own self, because when you're drinking too much alcohol in college, you're pickling your liver, so I've only
Yeah,
harmed myself. I've had to detox my liver. I don't drink anymore. I've been drunk
still
in
detoxing my
years.
liver.
Yeah,
Just
I haven't drank
I have
like
a
that
gene
since I
where I
was
just have a trouble
sorry,
detoxing.
20, I was 22. I was 22 or 23 when I stopped drinking the alcohol, something like that, because my liver just can't handle it.
I
And
became allergic.
now if I put alcohol in my mouth, it actually makes me physically sick. If I
Oh, me
drink
too.
alcohol, it makes my
I get
stomach
so sick. Like,
burn and
it was really
everything.
easy to get over it because I just became allergic to it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And my stomach just rejects it and says, "Nope, not going
Yeah.
here." But
I think
yeah.
that's your body telling you, like, when something is not in resonance that you're ingesting, your body
Mhm.
will tell you. I mean, and sometimes it might take a little longer for things to develop, but it's really important to like take care of your temple, your physical temple.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, we're all human. We're here to have learning experiences, which is why I had to ask him questions and take notes. I didn't know any of these. I didn't come into this, I've had people come on my videos before saying, "Ooh, she's a know-it-all," and this and it's like, no, I'm not. Are you kidding? I'm very humble. I'm the first person who will tell you that I don't know I know like such a tiny amount of
Yeah.
information. The universe is full of info, and I am a student forever. I will be
Yeah, my
learning and
guides just told me
learning,
that,
and
like even though you're a teacher, you're still always a student
I'm
too.
always a student.
Everybody's always learning. So with that being said, I want to say that before I get into what I got about the Elohim, that there's a few things that are a little different than what you got. So
Okay. I'm done, by the way. So if you want to proceed and tell
okay,
everybody what you got, that would be
I
awesome.
will. Yeah. And most of what you said really resonates with me. So there's
Yeah.
one area that I'm still kind of like trying to figure out, and that is if some of the Elohim, through their free will, did go with a darker faction of
Hmm.
beings. So, and I got that they did. So I don't know, maybe, and I always like to tell people, everybody on earth is in a human incarnation. So nobody here is perfect.
Hmm.
So we're all trying to figure things out through
Yeah.
our human
Perspective.
perspective and filter. We all have like human filters. We all have biases. We all have indoctrinations that we're dealing with. We have levels of perception and awareness that are different than each other. We might be, our frequency might be connected to certain groups or beings that other people aren't or are. So there's a lot of reasons why people might have different perspectives on certain things. And I think that that's okay because we're all the students still. So I'm still learning, and when I give my information, I by no means am saying like this is the word or whatever. It's just like my perception of what I've received. So take it or leave it with a grain of salt. And yeah, so, and I think even if good friends like you and I can maybe disagree on one thing, it's totally okay because I might evolve and change my mind later.
I
And
don't have a problem with disagreeing with my friends.
yeah,
I mean, even like Jenny Lee, like I even told Jenny Lee one day on the phone, I said, Jenny, every now and then you say something I don't agree with, and I don't
yeah,
expect you to agree with, but most of the stuff that she says, I do agree with,
yeah,
and our values are the same. We have a lot in
yeah.
common, and we have the
I'd
same
actually
values.
really love to do a video with her because of
Yeah.
she's always talking about Utah and I live in Utah. So I think there's something
Yeah.
going on in this state that's really interesting that I'd like to go into a deep dive with her.
Yeah. And then also
So,
Ileana, who's a good friend of Jenny and mine, Ileana the Star Traveler, she just did a video on the Elohim. Everybody
that
needs to
really
go to her
resonated with
channel. It's called the Cosmic Seeking
Traveler or
the Cosmic here. Let me go to YouTube so I can tell you where it is, because you all need to go to her video about the Elohim because it goes along with what we're telling you here.
yeah,
I
that's a
was
great
really
video.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the fact that she okay, let me go to my watch later. Maybe it'll be on there. Um gosh, let me look up Ileana. You all have to go watch Ileana's video.
Deanna the Star Traveler. Is that what her?
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a great video on the Elohim.
Yeah,
Super
hers was really, really
awesome.
good. And her
Yeah.
and I are like in full agreement on the stuff. It's called Awakening Cosmic Reality Show. That's her
Oh, that's
YouTube
right. Yeah.
channel. Her
Yeah.
YouTube channel, she's got 25,000 subscribers, 25,300. Awakening Cosmic Reality Show, Ileana. She's really good. And the difference between Ileana Anna and I are a little bit different. She's kind of a jack of all trades. She does a little of everything, but her focus that she is really good about is knowing all about all the different races of star beings and all the solar systems and the space stuff and the secret space program and technology. She's more of a left brain. She's way more left brain, but she's also some right brain. She also does a lot of, she's very balanced.
Yeah.
Where I'm not, I'm almost all right brain, but
Me
I
too.
told her the other day on the phone when I was talking to her, I said, you're just so balanced because she does all this analytical stuff with more like the geometry and the numbers and the sciencey, all the sciencey stuff that goes over my head that I don't understand.
Yeah.
She totally gets that. But then she's also a really good like an amazing artist and creator too. So she's very balanced. So I highly recommend you guys following her because she has the one thing I don't cover on this channel ever is going into all the stuff about all the ET stuff. And I've been told over and over again by my boss here, Yeshua, that I'm not supposed to that's not my playground. I'm not supposed to play in my other people's backyards. My backyard is focusing on the spiritual and ascension stuff. There are other people who are experts more on that space kind of stuff, and that is what they do. And Ileana, that is like her thing, man. She rocks it. So if
That's why I think we're all needed because we all have
yeah.
totally different gifts and a different way of expressing ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so like truth comes through in different ways through different people. So I think that we're all so needed. And
Mm-hmm.
there's also people that won't resonate with that and will resonate with something that's more simple and vice versa. Some people want the more,
Yeah.
techie types information of how the universe is working. But I think you and I kind of like have a vibe that kind of like goes together pretty
Well,
well.
we're both musicians and we're both more a little
Yeah,
a creative brain and that kind of thing. And I like everything just simple, keep it simple, Stanley, or stupid, as they
yeah,
say,
yeah,
Kiss. And I want everything basic. It's like, give me the facts and just the basic facts. Don't start
yeah,
going into this whole engineer. Cause like my husband and I are opposites. He's an engineer and he's 100% analytical dude and techie guy. And he gets angry and frustrated with me because I don't understand technology. In fact,
I'm
I
so bad with 3D technology. Like I'm way better like when I do sessions and I'm working with technology that's like energetic technology I'm really good at, but like 3D stuff, I'm just like, I just
no,
don't get
can't do it.
it.
I
It drives
can't
me
do it.
crazy.
I suck at it
I mean, you're
really
lucky that
bad.
I'm even on this video right
I
now.
know. I was helping you get on the video. That's okay.
Yeah.
I blow chunks at technology big time. It's just not my thing. And I admit it that it's, and my husband gets mad and says, I'm not your tech guy. I am tired of being your tech guy. If you need tech help, then you need to hire somebody or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, I'm not a techie. All right.
Okay, so the first thing that I got was this morning when I was waking up, I just felt inspired to go into a shamanic journey, which
Mhm,
is basically like a meditation if people don't know what it is. But I always go in and I ask for protection from tricksters and imposters. So I go in to other realms and dimensions and I get
mhm,
like visions and sometimes I'll encounter different beings because I believe that like the main role of a shaman is a bridge between the worlds. That's like the top for me. That's like the top role that we're supposed to do. So I'm always working with spirit and I'm always protecting myself so that I get as clear of information as I can. And I always ask to be what's called in shamanism a hollow bone. And a hollow bone is basically just a clear channel for spirit to come through. And we were going to talk about channeling too. I forgot about that. We'll do that at the end.
we can do that at the end. We're going to talk
Yeah,
about that and
our
explain how
perspective.
our perspective on channeling. Yeah.
Right. So the first thing I wanted to do is share what I got this morning in my journey. Let me just take a sip of my tea. Get my glasses on here. So when you go into a shamanic journey, it's usually really good to have a like a question that you're going in, like a purpose or a reason or a question that you go into the journey with. And so my question was, I asked the Elohim if there was anything they wanted to share with me before I made the video about them today. And this is what I saw on the journey. Firstly, I saw a huge buffalo, and he was laying in an intense storm encrusted in snow, and the wind was blowing all around him. And he just looked at me and he slowly stood up and then he started to walk away from me as if asking me to follow him. So as he moved away, I saw a lotus flower start to blossom over his image. And then as we walked and moved forward, the storm began to subside and the snow melted away to reveal a golden brick road that we were traveling on. And this was also in the Wizard of Oz. And if you want to go back and see my video, I think it's called The Esoteric Meaning of the Wizard of Oz or something. So the Yellow
Mm-hmm.
Brick Road is in there, and there's the meaning of it, I think, in that video.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the storm was like kind of like the war that we're in right now. I think we're in a spiritual war, and it feels like a big storm that we're in. Um, and then the road being like coming forth at as the storm subsides, the yellow brick road is to me that's like almost like me. It could be like a metaphor for the road into the golden age because the
Mm-hmm.
bricks were golden or yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So then this being that I've encountered before, his name's Red Cloud, and he did have an incarnation here in the 1800s. He appeared and he pointed to a pack. And what I'm guessing is that the pack had uh, contents of the pack were for our journey or for our journey into the yellow brick road or my personal journey. And inside the pack, there were three crystals. There was a white, a purple, and a blue crystal. So those might
Oh,
have to do
pretty.
with, like, I know that my aura is violet and blue. Like, as a Blu-ray, I can see my own aura. And then the white, that could be, I don't know what the white one means, but purity, maybe purification. I'm not sure. And then there was like an emerald green tablet in there. So I'm not sure what that was about. Do you have any idea what that could be? Like
Yeah, the emerald tablets and the emerald
emerald
order and all that.
order?
Yeah, you might
Yeah.
be connected to all that somehow.
So yeah, I wasn't sure what the green tablet was, but maybe
Yeah.
the emerald order. Like what's
That's
the
the
emerald
emerald
order?
tab, and there's emerald tablets too. So yeah.
I think the emerald order is maybe like those who are connected to the law of one. Is that right? Or no?
You know who knows all about the Emerald Order is Ishmael Perez. He does entire talks about the Emerald Order all the time, constantly, and he's got good information about the Emerald Order. And his information is correct, by the way,
Okay,
on
maybe
that, on the
I'll listen
Emerald
to the video
Order.
on him because I wasn't quite sure what this Emerald
He's
Order.
another person that I don't always agree with everything he says. I agree with most of what he says, but or a lot
Yeah.
of what he says, but the Emerald Order information that he shares, I totally agree with.
Okay,
So
I'll
if you
check
want
that
to
out.
know about it, check out his videos and his book that he has out, that he wrote, his huge book that he did. I think he talks all about the Emerald Order in that book as well.
Okay. And I think you said, aren't you connected to the Emerald Order too? Or
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
there's
I'm
something
part
about
of
green tablets or the Emerald Order that I
Yeah,
heard.
my higher self aspect is part of the Emerald Order. It's actually an order of beings that are kind of like the guardians of this universe. Because I was told I'm a guardian of Earth. And so
Mm,
the Emerald Order are kind of like they're guardians. They're guardian angelics, and they're, yeah, guardian
okay.
angelics, and
I
there's a
don't
lot
know a
more
lot
to
about
it than
that.
that, but yeah, it's a little more complicated than that, but
Okay, I'll study on what that could be a little
yeah.
bit more for myself. And then the last thing that was inside the pack for the journey was a blanket, and I unfolded the blanket, and there was a big circle symbol with a cross in it, which I'm wearing today, actually, if you can see that.
Hmm.
And that's
Beautiful.
a Native American for like the sacred hoop of unity, and then
Hmm.
the four directions, or
Yeah.
the cross means a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So that's what the symbol that I was shown.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting.
So after I picked up the pack, then a white buffalo appeared and he knelt down so I could get on his back. As we started to travel, rather than walking, it was almost like we started floating or flowing.
Ooh,
We're like flowing with the river that was right below us instead
that's
of walking.
beautiful.
So I think that was about like when we're journeying into the golden age, we need to be in the flow state. I think that's what that was saying. Then I looked down and I had blue moccasins on my feet, and they both had a tree of life embroidered on them.
Oh, that's so
So,
nice.
yeah, I think the blue was just like part of my, being a blue ray. So they were just showing me that that was blue. And then the tree of life. What do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, we're all connected through the tree of life, but there is a tree of life. So there is a tree of life, that's at the center of our planet, but there's also a tree of life out in the universe that's God's tree of life out there, in the
Yeah.
sacred garden in the heavens. In the heavens, there's a tree of life as
Yeah.
well.
I almost
So,
wonder if it's
yeah,
also like a tree of healing, because one time I had a vision
yeah.
and it was about all the children that were being like TRAFK,
Hmm.
and the horrible atrocities that are done to
Yeah.
them. I saw all those children and they were gathered in a circle around the tree of life
Yeah,
and
they're getting healing.
they
They're
were
being
being
healed.
healed. So I
Yeah,
think it's also a healing
that's
thing.
awesome.
Okay, so then I noticed now after I looked down at and I saw the moccasins, and suddenly I was in red dirt and I was walking down a red road. And in Native American culture, the red road is like the the road of integrity. I made a post about that too. I can't remember exactly how I interpreted it, but it's having integrity and walking the spirit. And then as I was walking down this red road, the cosmos seemed to envelop me and I was surrounded by stars. Then I heard the Elohim say, "We are creators of heaven and earth and spirit and matter. We are not the great spirit or God, but we work with God in order to co create many great things."
I'm
So, in
getting
this sense,
chill.
So, in this sense, we are God in that we become one with God. We are able to send part of ourselves into matter by incarnating in matter. And then they said, "You are magic. You are a creator." So
Wow.
that was the
I'm
journey.
getting chills up and down my back right now. That just
Yeah,
so resonates with what I was told and what I had learned about all this. So just, yeah.
yeah. So then this is the part that's like kind of a little more controversial, where I think that there may have been like more of a kind of a bad faction. Like, well, at first I'm gonna read. I mean, we both went to Lisa Renee's site.
Mhm.
And this is from her site. So I'm just going to read really quick what she thinks that the Elohim are. And this again gets into like, I don't know if I resonate with all of this because I haven't been told all of this by spirit. So I'm not saying like this is be all end all information. Some of this could be true, some of it not. So I'm just
Mhm.
saying take it with a grain of salt. This
We
is what
will keep an open mind.
yeah, this is what Lisa Renee channel. So it says the Elohim. And she has an Ascension glossary, so you can look up terms on her site under the Ascension glossary. So that's what I did with the Elohim. And she says, the Lyrans further down stepped their consciousness into the next lower density in the third harmonic layers by creating another identity. And these race lines were designed to exist within the dimensional layers of the monadic spirit plane. See how like complicated that is?
Mhm.
This race was created by the Lyran founders to specifically oversee the projects of the Lyran Syrian genetic seedings occurring on Tara, which is Earth, and these particular groups known as the Elohim. Further, the Syrian High Council, maybe that's the High Council I was told, I don't know. I just was told I was on some council, but I don't know which one. Was organized by and then appointed by the Lyrans to be the main overseers of seeding life on planet Tara in the next lower dimension, the second harmonic universe. So that's super complicated.
So
I
there's
get it.
they're what's called the cedar races. So there's what we call the cedar races. Those are races of extraterrestrials that seeded the planets with humans and animals
Okay.
and different things like that. That's who
Okay.
they are. They're not the Elohim. Keep in mind the Elohim just create the planets and the universes and the star
Okay.
systems, and that's all they do. So
So then she, right after that, it says the fallen Elohim line. So this is super
yeah, I'm not in agreement with
interesting. So I know
that.
you
Those
don't resonate, but I still want to read it just to put it out there
Oh,
and
go ahead. You can read it
because I just
totally.
think it's
Yeah.
interesting. So
It's
I
good
don't
to
know.
have different perspectives. I'm not one of these people
Yeah.
that it's my way or the highway. I don't really care. Everybody
So
needs to figure it
she
out.
said some of the Elohim groups digressed into the control of the alien hybridization agendas with the invading NAA groups. I don't know what that means. Of Belial entities and Thothean Luciferians and became integrated with the fallen AI hybridized entities that serve the Luciferian covenant. The Elohim references that are made in the Torah, Talmudic literature, or in esoteric Kabbalah teachings in the Jewish religion are sourced from the fallen Elohim hybrids integrated with Belial and Luciferian factions that gave the artificial tree of life or base 10 math Sephiroth teachings to the Semitic races in the Middle East. So I think what she's saying here, just to like, I mean, is she saying that those old scriptures were kind of hijacked? Is that what her perspective is? Like,
Yeah,
let's like break it down.
I'm going to interject right now because I'm getting huge
Yeah, tell me.
information.
Yeah, because I'm not saying this is
Okay,
true.
she
I'm just
made
saying
one
this is
mistake.
somebody's
Her
perspective.
information's actually correct. She made one mistake. Switch out the word Elohim for Nephilim. People are
Okay.
confused between the two, and this is what I'm
Okay.
getting. It's a confusion. Everything
Okay.
she said is correct. If you switch out the word into Nephilim, every word she said Elohim, make it Nephilim. They're the ones that did all
Okay.
those things that she's saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're
She is
saying
correct though. She just has the wrong
they're saying that
name that she's
this
calling them.
they kind of brought in this false religious
Mhm.
paradigm through
Yeah.
these old scriptural, so like the old
Yeah. That was the Nephilim. They did all that.
so in your opinion, because I know that you're like much more of a Bible scholar than I am, because we didn't
Mhm.
really study the Bible growing up, Mormon much.
Mhm.
So in your opinion, is the Old Testament kind of more hijacked than the New Testament by these beings?
Um, Absolutely. And keep in mind that the Old Testament, like everything in there is worshiping basically the God of the what, and this is what a lot of my psychic friends all say is the God of the Old Testament is Lucifer and the God of the New Testament is the God of love, because Jesus and the apostles were worshiping the God of unconditional love that doesn't destroy cities and want you to sacrifice your child. And, in the old Bible, they're sacrificing children and babies and animal. I mean, come on, what kind of God would not ask you to do that kind
A
of
lot
stuff?
of slavery and stuff
And
too.
lots of slavery. And there's a thing where they tell you where God supposedly spoke to whoever and told them to go murder all the men and take all the women and rape them and take all the children and defile them and blah blah. Come on, God would never ever do. It's like, use your brain. The
Yeah,
God that I worship is the God of unconditional love. That God would never tell you to go into somebody's city and rape all the women and kill all the men. I mean,
right.
seriously? And that kind of crap is throughout the whole Old Testament. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just,
So I
yeah.
want to say one thing too, that this is also maybe like a little bit controversial or
Mhm.
something that I received that I don't know if this is true or whatever, but
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say what I saw. But I saw Moses, and he had the Ten Commandments or whatever, and he threw them down, and he said um, those have already been integrated. Now we have to do new law, like a higher law. And so I'm wondering if he was kind of saying like this Old Testament stuff is done and now we have to have like the higher law. Does that make sense at all? Like I don't know what I was seeing.
Yeah, that could be, but also the old, keep in mind that the Ten Commandments were given to the people of that day and age specifically for their situation. And now we are a
Oh,
different people and we
yeah,
are in the future and we need something that goes with our situation.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. So
because that applied to what was going on in that time and space. Absolutely.
right.
But
Okay, but this
everything
is
is
different.
very different now. Now we have technology and we have, I mean, how does the Ten Commandment apply to like artificial intelligence? And how does it apply to robotics and AI, all these different things
That
that we
makes
have now in banking systems and computers and cell phones and the television and
So
on
we
and on.
need
I mean,
like an expanded law basically
yeah,
to
we
do
need
with
we
all of
need
this stuff.
more layers and
Yeah.
different things that apply more to today.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay. So this is almost done. One more paragraph. She says, this was information warfare in order to confound original angelic human language, to suppress the solar feminine, and replace the original cosmic Christos dragon teachings that were being protected by the remaining Hyperbaryans that came to Earth after the Gaian Wars. You have anything to say about that?
Can you repeat that again? That was like,
Okay.
it just like my
Yeah, it's a
brain.
lot.
I was like, okay,
And I want to
sorry.
say too that one of the first beings that came to me when I started doing shamanic journeying was this beautiful white dragon
Hmm.
with kind of a shimmery rainbow scales, like, and just the most loving, loving energy, and just carried me around on his back all over the place.
I
And
wonder
then
if it's the same one that comes that I
you
have.
have
I've
one
seen.
too. What does yours look like?
It's a white, and the face of it kind of looks more like the Chinese dragon. It's more liony kind of looking dragon, and
Yeah,
it's got white opalescent scales all over it. You know what an
yeah,
opal looks like, how it
shimmery.
reflects like rainbow kind of
That's
colors on it.
exactly what mine looks like.
That's literally what this looked like. It's come to me in meditation many times. Yeah, and
Isn't that cute?
it's protecting me.
Yeah. So it sounds like we have like the same dragon.
Yeah.
Really weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so she talks about the dragon lines. So
Hmm.
I'm still trying to figure out what this dragon is. Is it a protector? Is it a metaphor? Is it part of me? Like what the heck is going on with this dragon? So let me read that again. So with the inverted scriptures of the old texts, she says this was information warfare in order to confound or original angelic human language, to
Hmm.
suppress the solar feminine, and replace the original cosmic Christos dragon teachings that were being protected by the remaining Hyperbaryans that came to Earth after the Gaian Wars.
Okay, I'm 100% in how do you want to say,
Alignment?
in alignment with that. That's
Okay.
true.
Okay.
Yes.
The
100%.
remaining the remaining hyperbaryans that came to the planet Earth to serve the Christos mission are the Celtic Druid Grail bloodlines, And I have to say right there, I know that I was a druid in a past life, and I've
Oh, I
also,
was multiple times.
and yeah, and then in a recent
Yeah.
ceremony, I was shown like a golden chalice that was overflowing, or a golden grail.
Hmm.
So I totally feel connected to that Christos mission. And then it says, or Celtic Essenes.
Hmm.
And we both feel connected to the Essenes deeply
Hmm.
too. I feel like my guides have taken me several times to like mikvah baths and healing temples with all these columns. So I feel like I was probably in a scene. And I know that you do, right?
I was. Yep, absolutely. I
So
was, I am now, I still am. If
yeah,
anybody asks me what am I, I'm in a scene. So yeah.
I really connect with that too. And so they were hunted down and massacred by these fallen Elohim groups in
Hmm.
order for them to act as the imposter overlords of the so-called chosen people, the
Hmm.
God of the Israelites,
Yep.
to oversee the seeding and indoctrination of this new Antichrist alien religion.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, and I feel like it
That's
isn't a
true.
religion, and that's why I don't like talk about aliens that much on my channel, is because I feel like there's this really big narrative that this God alien, that these aliens were God. And that's what like these people,
People worship them like gods and they
yeah,
try to set
like,
themselves
oh, the
up like
Anunnaki
gods.
created us and blah blah blah. I don't believe that aliens created us and that the aliens were God. Like that doesn't resonate with me. So I rarely talk about aliens. I think if anything, I would say the aliens are mostly like the devolved races, like the grays that decided to go like an AI route and transhuman, like trans their body into like,
Hmm.
that's why they look so weird, is because
Hmm.
they
They
decided
integrated
to,
the AI
yeah, and
into
they
their
mess
society.
with their organic
Yep.
DNA templates.
Yeah.
So that's what I see aliens as, is kind of more like fallen beings that went the AI route, or the
Hmm.
transhumanist route. And so they just look really weird, and they abduct people because they want our DNA. They want to get back to like their divine
Right.
human templates. They're like jealous that, so they don't like us, like that's
Well,
what I,
there's good ones and bad ones. So those are the grays. So the bad ones that you have is you have, of course, all the grays. You've got the different types of grays too. And then you've got the ones from Alpha Draconis that are called the Vril or the Draco Reptilian. You've got those factions, the different types of reptilians. Those are bad. But there's a small group of good reptilians. They're not all bad. And then you've got mantids. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. And then you've got some other races of ETs who have come to Earth and muddled with Earth that are bad too. There's these ones that have like wings on them and they look like gargoyle kind of, they're really scary looking. I can't even describe them. They are just so scary looking. And I've seen them before. I've actually seen them when I'm out traveling. They're very scary, but those are bad. You've got good ones and bad ones. I don't like to use the word alien. I call them star beings or star brothers and sisters, like, because we've got the good ones that are here helping, like the Andromedans and the Pleiadians and the Lyrans and the Syrians. I mean, because I was in Sirius B before I came here. I was a Syrian. I had blue skin and, all of that. I was a blue skinned, big, tall, being, and none of our people were bad. We were all good. I mean, that's where Yeshua came here from. He came originally from Sirius B. That's where the family
okay.
of Christ came from. So when I say, I don't like to use the word aliens, because to me that's a term they're using for the people crossing the border right now. So I don't like
Yeah,
to use that term.
I just don't
I
like
like
that
to
word.
use
I
the
mean, to
term.
me, I see alien, that word,
Yeah.
as like more of the negative factions of,
Yeah, I mean, maybe for them, but I call them the extraterrestrials versus my star brothers and sisters. So like I refer to
yeah,
the good ones as my star brothers and sisters,
me
and then the
too, like
bad ones
the star beings.
I
Yeah,
refer to as the extraterrestrials, more to the bad, like the negative ones,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to just read a couple more things. So the next thing in her Ascension glossary is the Blu-ray Elohim. So she's one of the few people that I found online that talk about the Blu-ray Elohim.
Okay.
So her quick definition, I wish there was more, but it's just so short. She just says the first light manifestation of the Emerald Order. There it is, the Emerald
The
Order.
Emerald Order. Yep.
are Solar Rishi Blu-ray orders of
Mhm.
Elohim and Oraphim that direct support to the guardian founder races in the lower harmonic universe and are supporting GSF, which is God Sovereign Free beings, and they support their liberation and the continued spiritual evolution of humanity towards ascension in the law of one. The Emerald Order of Elohim seeded the Anahazi feline Elohim races through the Lyran 12th Stargate in the fourth harmonic universe on Aramatina or something. The Elohim emerged from the Lyran founders and were the first forms created in the second harmonic universe. I don't know if any of that's true because it's just so deep information that my guides haven't said specifically if this is true or not, but they did. I did do got a message this morning.
Let me tune in. Is what okay, just a second. Let me tune in. Is what Kat read just now, was any of that true? About 60% of what you just stated was true.
Okay, well that's quite a bit.
Some of it was not true.
Okay.
But about
Yeah. Like I
60%.
said, I just feel like it's okay to disagree with each other, and because we're all human, so no person in a human body is going to
Yeah.
be perfect. There's even things with, some spiritual teachers that are super famous that I like to watch, and every once in a while I'll be like, no, I don't resonate with that. So it's okay.
We're not gonna all get along and all
Yeah,
be on the same sheet
we
of
still
paper all
need
the
to have
time.
unity. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Then
Even my two best friends disagree with me sometimes, and I'm talking my friends that I've known since I was 14 years old.
yeah,
We disagree from time to time.
yeah. So okay, and that's okay, and I'm fine with that. So
Yeah.
the Essene Grail lines is the next
Mhm.
thing I wanted to. It's just a quick little blurb.
Yeah.
The Emerald Order of Elohim seeded the Anahazi feline Elohim races through the Lyran 12th Stargate Ara Mentana or Mentina. They are also known as the direct founders of the Christos races, the Essene Grail lines that include the Oraphim. So I don't
That's
know.
all mixed up because they're like their levels or the level of hierarchy is completely upside down with what she's saying. Because I just explained the hierarchy, which I've explained it in many past videos too. This isn't the first time I've explained this, that it goes Elohim, archangels, different stations of angels. Then you get your Christed beings, and then your different extraterrestrial races, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah. I
That's
do
how
believe
that
that
goes.
there's hierarchy because there's just different levels of frequency, vibration, consciousness. I mean, there has to
Yeah.
be.
Well,
And I
there's
think what
different
happened
densities.
was religion took this concept of hierarchy and they inverted it. And so
Yeah.
it's just like this more like inverted sense of control over people. Whereas the heavenly hierarchies, they're just different beings that have different jobs and are at different conscious levels.
The thing that is upsetting about her is the way she's talking about, oh, the Lyrans created this and that. And no, they did not create anything. And then they got their asses blown to smithereens by the Draco. So all Lyrans were is just a race of extraterrestrials that lived in the Lyra star system. That is where the first humanoid beings, the first people, the real Adam and Eve. There was no Adam and Eve on Earth. That's not a thing. The real Adam and Eve was in Lyra. Okay, the first humanoids were created in the Lyran star system. They were just a race of extraterrestrials. Okay, so to go and say they created the Oraphim and the this and that, that's backwards. That's upside down. Those beings are way, way, way beneath
That's
the
yeah, that
Oraphim. The
makes
Oraphim are high
sense.
level angelic,
Yeah.
beings that are 200. Oraphemes are like 200-foot tall, like entity. I mean, come on.
Orphans are like at the top of the hierarchy.
Yeah, they're very up high in the
I
hierarchy
agree
of
with that.
angels.
I totally
So
agree with that. So then she goes in. Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to do. Just again a short blurb. She talks about the Palindorian covenant,
I
So
don't even know what that is.
I
Never
think
heard of it.
Ishmael Perez talks about that
I've
too.
never heard. Yeah, he talks about Pallador all the time.
Paladorian
That's the
covenant.
stuff I know nothing about.
I
That's
don't
just way
either.
over my head. I
But you
just
know
don't.
what's really interesting is I named my band Paladine,
Are you kidding?
and it's not even a real word. Like I just
Your
made it up.
rock band is named Paladine?
Yeah. And then I came across this and I came Paladorian covenant. Wow, that's like a very similar word. I wonder if I was just like intuitively drawn to this word.
Yeah.
That's the
You
name of
know,
my
if you want to learn about Pallador, Ishmael Perez is your guy because he's an
yeah.
expert on all of that kind of, that's his thing. You know.
So he says, this Paladorian agreement is the reclamation of the Christos mission that sources directly from the original Paladorian covenant that was set into motion millions of years ago. The Paladorians agreed to be the first line of supporting evolution and reclamation of the inner spirit for all humanity, awakening in the first waves of Ascension plan to help the Taran souls on Earth back home.
Hmm.
So that resonates with me
That
deeply.
resonates with me. Absolutely. That totally
Yeah.
resonates. Yeah. I mean, I'm getting chills and goosebumps too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So it's
resonates.
saying
That
like those
resonates.
who made the Paladorian
Hmm.
covenant are like the way showers that came
They're
back
way,
to
yeah.
teach people to
Ooh, I'm just getting so many
get back
chills,
into their
goosebumps.
Christos light. Like we're here
Yeah.
to share that Christos mission.
Yeah.
So that resonated with me. So like I said, her information, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, totally, that resonates. And then other times I'm like, not so sure, so you just gotta that's and like I was telling you earlier when we were talking on the phone, I said, I think part of the reason that there is a lot of kind of dissension in the spiritual community right now is
Hmm.
to get over our lack of unity and just
Oh, it's horrible. Everybody's
yeah,
infighting and tearing each other apart.
yeah, like I feel like we really need to be like, you know what? We're human. We're not, nobody's perfect. No one's the perfect guru. You have to go within. And it's also giving us a lesson in discernment. Like I said, like you got to go within. What do you feel like? What are your own, what is your own higher self telling you? What are your own guides telling you? Like even with me and Kimberly, like you still have to go within and figure stuff out on your own and
Figure it out on your own.
learn how to connect with the great spirit, learn how to connect with your higher self. So even with the
What
I'm
we
about to
teach.
go into the message that I received from the
Hmm.
Elohim this morning, and even with this message, go within your own um, prayer, meditation, whatever your spiritual practice is, to discern what is truth and what's true for you. And some things maybe are true, but somebody's not ready for that truth, or they've got some sort of other veil of illusion that they're under, and that could be
Hmm.
with me too. I am having a human experience, so I'm not perfect. So when I give information, I always make that disclaimer, just like go in for your own for your own discernment, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So the one thing I will tell everybody who watches my channel is I don't expect you to believe everything I say or whatever resonate with everything I say. You need to figure it out on your own. And when you watch me or you watch Kat or you watch anybody on a video, you need to take away what resonates with you and leave the rest behind. And one of the things I teach my clients in private sessions is how to discern what is, good, how to do the discernment, how to check in and know if what they're speaking is the truth or it's a bunch of
Yeah,
bullshit,
right.
and I teach people how to have that skill. But the
That's
biggest
great.
thing I want to teach people is to stop relying on people like me and Kat to like spoon feed you all the answers to everything. I'm here to teach you how to connect directly and get the answers yourself, because as Yeshua said to me in 2019, he said, you need to teach everybody. He said, Kimberly, there is no gurus on planet Earth. All of these people who call themselves a guru, he said, are scammers. And he said, if they call themselves a guru, they're a scammer and a fraud. And he said that there are no gurus on earth. He said, each one of you is your own guru.
That
And
makes
he
sense.
said, you need to teach people how to be their own guru because that's what they are and that's what they should be.
Yeah, so one of the ways that I was taught by spirit to discern is to go into your heart center because
Mhm.
that is where we feel things. That's like where we can discern a frequency. But
Absolutely.
sometimes it's also like not so much what a person is saying, but what kind of frequency are you getting from that person? They could be
Yeah.
saying all the right things and
And
then
you get a
inject one,
negative vibe from them.
yeah, and then but what they do is they'll say like a bunch of truth and then they'll inject one little thing that's way off, but everything else sounds good.
Well,
So then
Satan
you're
will
kind of
tell you 99 truths and sneak in one lie, but the one lie will ruin your whole life and everything. So,
right. So it's always important to like, what frequency are you getting from any kind of a spiritual teacher, that you're watching? Like, do you feel a good vibe or is it icky? Like
mhm.
if it's icky, like no matter how good that seems like they're saying, you might want to just check in with yourself. Okay. So that being said, I'm not perfect. This is just what I received
Mhm.
about the Elohim and who they are.
Yep. I'm not perfect either. People, if they don't resonate with what I'm saying, they don't have to. I don't expect anybody. I'm here on these videos to just share my truth, and the people who resonate will resonate, and the people who don't won't. I don't expect everybody to agree with me, just like my family members. I don't expect them to always agree with me. We're always going to have arguments and not agree with on things, and that's the way it's called being human, and we all have our own lessons to learn and things, to do. So just
Right.
the way it is.
I agree.
Yep.
Okay, so this is from just a message I received this morning from the Elohim of the Blu-ray, and that's the Elohim that I personally connect with. Just I think it's just because I am a Blu-ray soul. That's what came through. And like I said, I had no idea who the Elohim of the Blu-ray were. They just all of a sudden they came to me one day, and I was like, "Who the heck are the Elohim of the Blu-ray?" So I've started working with them probably be like 3 years ago. So in some of my videos, you'll say that that's who's bringing forth the message. It's not always them. There's several other beings that I connect with, but that's one of them, one of the groups. So they say, "We are the Elohim of the Blu-ray. We speak through you, to you, and with you as you are connected to us. The highest aspect of your being resides with us." As we always say, we are you, you are us. We understand this is frightening to hear and share, but this is so. You are a high level creator being. We wish for humanity to move into more creative consciousness, as all of you are creative beings at different points in your journey towards embodiment of the highest creator self. This is why at this time we wish you to reflect to see. Hold on a second. This is why it is a time to reflect on what you wish to see in the world, because you must create it. The Blu-rays are merely at a more advanced level of creatorship, but no better, no more worthy than any other being. Know that you choose, and when you choose to embody this light of creation, you are chosen. There are many distortions of this simple truth within your realm at this time. Those who are fallen would love for humanity to believe that all are fallen like themselves. This is simply not so. The Elohim are highly advanced beings of light, as Yeshua has explained. They give of their light to help humanity and guide humanity into their own co creation with the one great spirit of all that is. As each being has free will, it is natural for all beings to go through cycles and choices that bring them close to the light of the Creator or fall into further separation from the Creator. So, in other words, you're always getting closer to the Creator or falling away. Like we go in these cycles, and according to our free will. Even advanced souls can fall. Hence, we often call them fallen angels. So, our beloved journeyers into the light always set intentions to connect with the beings of highest frequencies. What many call tricksters or imposters would love for you to believe that what is light is of the darkness and what is darkness is of the light. So these trickster beings are basically trying to confuse us, is what they're saying, I think, with this current narrative of the Elohim. As you are powerful creators, your intentions are thus powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Set your intentions when working with spirit to connect with those who are working for the light and of the light. As you are in the as you are in the midst of a storm or a spiritual battle. Can you hear my dog barking? Can you hear my dog?
I heard a little bit, not, yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to keep going. Hopefully she's not coming through too much.
I can't really hear her that much.
So we're in a storm or a spiritual battle. They say, this storm will continue to rage, but many who are choosing the light will be given guidance for their path of co-creation. So in other words, even though we're in the midst of all this crazy chaos and storm right now, like we can still tap in and have our own personal guidance and peace for what we're supposed to be doing here and why we're here, and fulfilling our purpose, basically. So it says, this is how we begin to move into the new frequency of new earth. Humanity has always experienced ups and downs of cycles, but even though it feels like you are on a crazy roller coaster ride, you are in an overall upward cycle now as 2024 ensues. As masters of co-creation, we encourage all to ponder on their own talents and abilities. Some of these may be latent or forgotten, but many will begin to remember them and come into their deeper purpose as co-creators of new earth.
Yep.
Be a light and a way shower, and you begin to embark on your individual journeys of creation. We are thrilled to see your future of beauty as this creative explosion comes into matter. It is within your being and essence to create a new world of beauty, order, peace, unity, equality, justice, and abundance for all. And so it is, as you choose the light of creation. Amen and amen.
That makes me want to cry. That's absolutely beautiful. And I resonate 100% with all of that.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's the messages that
Thank you for sharing that. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, so like, does that seem like evil demonic message to you?
No, no. Well, I mean, it's just like,
People said that, I was like, what? The Elohim are demonic, like trickster alien beings? Like, no, that just doesn't resonate with me.
yeah, I
So
had several people comment on a recent video about how do you know that you're not talking to a demonic entity, you know, Kimberly? And it's like, well, first of all, I don't go having conversations with all kinds of entities. I only have been talking to one my whole life since I was born, and all of his messages are 100% pure love and light and never anything fear-based. So I don't know
yeah,
what to tell you. You know, I mean,
like
I don't go
I said,
having conversations with all sorts of different
the
entities.
heart, feel
Yeah.
into the heart. See if I had anything else here. My notes. I think I'm about done. Let's see. Oh, so this is really interesting too. So this kind of gets into, like, she never mentions the word Tartaria, but I think a lot of people in the spiritual community do kind of resonate with the idea that we had this beautiful advanced civilization from all this like amazing architecture. And so she kind of talks about like how it's almost like angelic beings kind of incarnated into human form and created these amazing, beautiful architectural structures that we cannot create right now. They're all, and then how the Nephilim or these like evil beings like tried to destroy all of that creation, so we forgot our power. And so, do you mind
Are you
if I?
talking about some of the Tartarian buildings that are for healing,
Yeah,
like some of the ancient churches that were really
the
used as healing
lost.
centers and all that
Yeah.
kind of thing?
So
Yeah.
I wanted to read this
Mhm.
because she also mentions like the ancient builder race.
Okay.
So I had a past life regression in which I saw myself. It was so simple. It was just like everybody was gone. Like something had like happened to Earth, and I was just building with these massive stones. I was just building something. And so
Mhm.
I think I kept trying, like, why was I shown that? What does that mean? And so I'm
Mhm.
finally coming to the conclusion that it's possibly that I may have been part of the builder races, because I do feel like when I see these old, ancient, beautiful buildings, I resonate with them so deeply. And
Mhm.
it just pains my soul that our new architecture is just so awful. It's just like, that's what I mean. I did the best I could and bought a house that was built in the 20s because I think they just, as time went on, things got built worse and worse and worse. So I got the oldest house that I could find, That's how I feel. But anyway, I'm going to read what Lisa Renee says on her website. She says, just a few hundred years ago, we had access to levels of technology that are lost today.
Yep, it's true.
Now, yep, and now is the right time to gather the information and begin
Mhm.
to pull on those threads that hold the fabric of time together. Original angelic human beings were not drooling cavemen and did not come from apes. Angelic humans lived in an advanced technological culture with free energy as one people on one planet. All of the race, religion, sex, and meaningless classifications were set up as discriminating factors for fabricating mind control belief systems that were created by the archons running the Octagon Group and others using lunar forces through genetic and social engineering to intentionally divide and conquer humanity from their alien masters. Now, alien masters meaning, I think, like I said, the aliens were the ones who came in and started messing things, the organic templates of the creator, they started messing with that. That's what I
Mhm.
think when she's talking about that. Um, let's see, what if every single historical event you learned in the Rockefeller controlled and approved educational curriculum was an utter and total fabrication designed
Absolutely.
designed to indoctrinate. Well, we know that the medical system for sure was
All
changing
of these systems, the education, the colleges are
all of
horrible.
it. Yeah.
It's all
So yeah, and
indoctrination.
they tried to say that natural healing was just like all quackery.
That it's quackery. They
They
called
love
it all
that word
kinds of names.
quackery, but that's
Yeah.
the original healing that God created from Mother
Mhm.
Earth. So anyway, she said, what if every single historical event you learned in the Rockefeller controlled and approved educational curriculum was an utter and total fabrication designed to indoctrinate the human population into a slave class? What if you were taught about our nation, our culture, our way of life on the earth, our beliefs in medicine, history, religion, financial and economic theories were based upon intentionally crafted archonic deceptions and was a total and utter lie? Would it be possible to believe that up to approximately 200 years ago, humanity had some areas with free energy sources,
Mhm.
gorgeous architectural structures designed from the ancient builder races? That's where she mentions the ancient builder races, and I'm hoping that maybe I can get some more messages about the ancient builder races because I do feel that that's maybe
Well, they've been here for billions
the
of years. They came
yeah.
here billions. You know that there's been ETs on this planet for billions of years.
Yeah. This is a the planet's way older than religion would love for us to think it is
Yeah,
too.
exactly. Exactly.
So she says, designed from the ancient builder races, generating atmospheric energy as proven by Tesla. And Tesla is also a being that I often have had a lot of encounters with. Not a lot, but he does come through it periodically.
He's a time traveler.
Yeah, he's amazing. I have another friend that has a relationship with him, super interesting channel
Mhm.
called the Dove. I'll have to find it. Anyway, the planet was covered with historical artifacts and indisputable evidence. Oh, I didn't read that part of it. So I haven't. One of my like 2 videos ago, I have a video called "The Archaeology Will Bring the Evidence." Is literally the name of the video. So you can go back and watch that because that all of a sudden is tying in with this. So the planet was covered with historical artifacts and indisputable evidence of our advanced human culture until it was destroyed by directed energy weapons, floods, and other weather cataclysms that were artificially generated by a non-human species invading our planet.
Mhm.
That could be like I don't know. What do you think that would non-human species would be? Like probably like the aliens, which I always think when the term alien, I always think of negative beings for some
Well,
reason.
the reptilians came here a long, long time ago. They've been in the planet for billions of years, the reptilian, but the ones that have taken over are different from the ones that live under the surface. So there, I don't know if you know this, there's a group of reptoids that have lived in inner earth and under in tunnels under the surface for literally millions, billions of years. But then the ones that came here from Alpha Draconis are they're the bad ones, what they call the Vril. Those are the ones that came here. And then there's these other beings that, and I don't know their name. I know Ismail Prez knows the name. He'll have, I don't know the name of them, but I can picture them in my mind because they're really scary looking and they have wings on them. They have wings on them. They look like winged reptilians. They're real big and really scary looking. Those guys came, they literally look like gargoyles. They're just scary. But those guys are the ones who came here and created majority of the chaos on this planet, and along with the grays.
Okay. So then she says, who are we now without the false history and culture we have been brainwashed to accept as our own? What if these intruders are putting into play right now with the Great Reset the same warfare tactics that have been used against humanity several times already?
Mm-hmm.
Mind wipe our current history into another digression of complete and total consciousness slavery,
Yep.
time as a transhuman robot.
Yep, that's
And
what
that
they're
is
working towards. They are working towards
absolutely,
that.
and this is not a conspiracy theory. You could go right on the World
No,
Economic.
they're totally doing it. The World Economic Forum people talk
Yeah,
about it openly all the time that
yeah,
that's what they're going to
they're not
do.
even hiding it anymore.
They don't no, they all talk about. I just watched a video with two guys speaking at the World Economic Forum basically saying that our goal is to get rid of 95% of the human population, and the ones that we have left, we're going to integrate them into like Borg kind of,
Oh,
and then they were saying this in front of everyone at their WEC meeting and it was videotaped, I mean, come
yeah.
on.
Yeah, it's a really sick agenda, and they're gonna present it as like, oh, you're gonna have all these special abilities when you get this chip or implant
Yeah,
or
we're going to stick
whatever it
this
is
thing
that
in
they
you and
want.
it's going to give you superpowers, and all the stupid young kids are going to go for it.
Yeah, it's
They're
really
going to
sad,
all go for it.
really sad. So it says, this is a defining moment in our historical timeline in order to face the truth of what is coming to be revealed about the lost knowledge of human civilization. Many awakening people, starseeds, and indigos are now awakening to their higher role to be the investigator, truth seeker, and curator of digging and finding these historical records, piecing together dates and historical accounts as an archivist,
Mhm.
and providing a platform for the foundation of disseminating the release of some of these records into the public.
Mhm.
This is a big piece supporting the global disclosure events in piecing together the hidden human history, or even just the last 100 years. As just a few hundred years ago, we had access to levels of technology that are lost today, and now is the right time to gather the information and to begin to pull on those threads that hold the fabric of time together. Original angelic human beings were not drooling cavemen, and we did not come from apes. We lived in an advanced technological culture with free energy as one people and one planet. I think I already read
Do
this.
you have music playing in the background, like
Yeah,
chimes?
sorry, let me turn that off. That
No,
next.
it's really pretty. It
Oh,
sounds like chimes. It was really pretty. I'm
it's just
like,
a
I'm hearing
piano.
this
Sorry.
really
I
pretty
had something that was like a
chime.
lot lower that was on there
Yeah, no, it
to
was really
calm me down.
pretty. It was really
Um,
pretty. I was like listening and going, oh, that
I
sounds
just don't
good.
want it to overlap what I'm saying. Okay, so then the last thing she says is, what if, oh wait, that was the end, basically. She says, basically that we originally angelic humans lived in an advanced technological society, and we
Mhm.
created all these amazingly beautiful structures
We
that we
did.
no longer can remember how to make. So
Yep,
I just thought that
exactly.
was
I'm in agreement with that. They like mind wiped everybody.
yeah.
It's just evil. The evil is just
Yeah, so I have a couple messages that I got that I'm talking about this. Like, I think it was last year that I put those out, and I talk
Mhm.
about what came through with what happened with these old civilizations that probably weren't even really that long ago. Like it seems like they were just, like she said, like a couple hundred years ago. So what I feel intuitively is that we're going through this another big spiritual warfare, because these beings that like destroyed these ancient buildings and civilization, they just like through war, through they would just tear them down and make up like BS
Mhm.
reasons for tearing down these incredibly gorgeous structures. And so now we're just left in this room. I mean, some of them are still left, which is awesome because we still can see some of these amazing things. But
Mhm.
like information can be lost in one generation. Like you can just forget what happened if they just get rid of it all. So
Mhm.
anyway, I think that what Mary Magdalene said to me, and you got the roller coaster thing too, but what I think she was saying is that, yeah, we've gone through all these cycles of time like a roller coaster, and now we're at the end of a cycle. And so it seems like we're just in this downward spiral going into chaos and war and all this stuff, because all of this darkness has to be come to the surface for us to see what's happening and to awaken our humanity, and so that we can just start going, oh yeah, we forgot who we are, we need to like step into our creator powers again and
Mhm.
start creating this stuff again and remember how we did it. And so she did say that we're on the upturn of the roller coaster right now, so
Yeah, we are.
we're going into a new
Yeah,
cycle, which is positive.
I agree. I agree with
Yeah,
that.
so even
Uh-huh.
though it feels like overall that we're like in this storm, like I saw the bison in the storm, we're in the storm right now. We're in the chaos. We're in the downward, that final vestiges of this horrible, AI, all this crap that they're trying to just.
All it takes is one EMP. This is one thing Yeshua, because I was asking him, by the way, last night, I asked him a few things. Like I asked him if we would ever have a so-and-so in the presidency again and blah, blah, blah. And he said no. And then I asked, are we going to get taken over? Am I on like a timeline or whatever, where we're going to become totally taken over by the Terminator? Because I was watching the news last night where somebody in the Tesla factory was attacked by a robot and hurt really bad. And then there were people in a lab in Japan or somewhere that the AI went crazy and murdered everyone in the room, and like 27 people
Wow,
died,
that's
like
weird that you saw
scientists.
that, 'cause last night we like revisited that movie Blade Runner. Same,
Yeah.
like this was in the 82 that this movie came out, and it's
Yeah.
like robots
Yeah,
killing.
they take over on every timeline. The
Like
AI
telling you what they're
takes
gonna
over
do.
and kills all the humans on every timeline. And so I asked Yeshua about it, and he said, "No, you're not on that timeline." But he said, "But what I got was, even if we were on that timeline, all it takes is one EMP to wipe out all the AI." He said one EMP, and then I was talking to my son,
EMP. Tell me that again.
electromagnetic pulse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I talked to my son about this because he's very intellectual, and I'm like, "Do you think there's going to be, the AI is going to, are you worried about the AI?" And he goes, "Mom, all it would take is one EMP and it's all toasted
Your
to
son
take
said
it out."
that?
Yeah, so
Oh
he like
wow. So is
confirmed
that the same
what
thing as like a solar wave?
a huge solar flash can cause it can cause an EMP that wipes out all of the electric grid.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could see that. Like,
Yeah.
and in the book of Enoch, it also talks about like that these evil beings, there's gonna come a time when they're just like gonna be taken out.
But as Ishmael Perez says, in 1,000 years from now, we're going to have to go to battle against the AI gods, because you know that the Draconians turned two entire universes completely AI, artificial
Yeah,
intelligence.
yeah,
And they're trying to do that here. They're not going to win here. But in 1,000 years from now, there is going to be one final battle. And according to the future prophetic people who've time traveled, we win over and over and over again. We always
yeah.
win. So I'm not worried about it. I have no fear, and
There's
if
like
I'm
a
still
part of
around,
me, there's like a little part of me that I sometimes I wonder, like, are we in the final AI battle right now? Like, because there is this thing in the Bible
we
that
are,
talks
we
about like
are
the short season
kind
or
of.
the little season. So sometimes I
Mhm,
wonder, are we in the little season right now where,
mhm.
it's just like Satan is like kind of like loosed again? And it does seem like after all those beautiful buildings that could have been the millennium, and then now we're in the short season, and that after the short season, that's it. We go into new earth. That's what the Bible,
Yeah.
the timeline of the Bible. So sometimes I wonder if that's more the timeline that we're on. Like, this is the final battle right now.
Yeah.
I
My
don't
back
know.
is really starting to hurt.
I go back and forth.
I'm gonna have to, we've been on here too long and I'm getting horrific back pain because I can't
Okay.
sit for long
I know
times
this is
because my back, it puts my back out really bad.
okay.
So I'm gonna get off. We've gone a little too long. I just have one last thing to say, just really quick about channeling. I put a post up on Facebook, and some people may or may not have got the right or wrong impression, where basically Yeshua told me that 90% of people in the spiritual community that are giving out information are infiltrated, especially the channelers. And I don't know every channeler on this planet, so I'm not going to testify and say every channeler on this planet's infiltrated. But what I will tell you is what my idea of channeling is. Okay. I don't do channeling. People always say, "Oh, Kimberly, how do you know you're channeling the right thing?" I don't channel. I don't channel. When I'm talking to the boss, I'm having an actual conversation with him. Or I receive a message, I'll get downloads from God. When I get a download, it's from my higher self or from source, from God. If I channel, I'm channeling just my higher self through me. It's just the knowledge of the universe that my higher self has that's coming through me. When my idea of channeling that is negative and dangerous is when you allow an entity like some star being named Bashar or something like that to come into your body and take it over and control your brain and control your mouth and your speech. When you allow, that is very dangerous. Most of those people are infiltrated by negative entities right now. All of the ones who I know, who I watch on the internet, are infiltrated. The only two people, and I put this on my post, I had this on my post, the people who I trust who like channel beings. And the only one that I know right now who she allows Yeshua to actually come in and speak through her is my friend Michaela, medium Michaela. She is the real deal, and she's not infiltrated. Okay. She's totally not infiltrated. But I am watching every time I turn a channel on where there is a person channeling an entity or a group of entities, they are spewing bullshit out of their mouths. And it's coming from, because what everybody needs to understand, and I'll say this over and over until I pound it into all of your heads. There are 300 billion demons on planet Earth right now. There were 9 billion, or I'm sorry, there were 81 billion. And then they turned CERN on a couple more times. And every time they turn CERN on, they open a portal to the fourth dimension where all the demons are. And they come in here and flood in here. And they are attacking and harassing everybody right now. So if you sit there in a meditation and you invite an entity to come into your body and speak through your mouth and take over your brain, you are asking for demonic takeover and entities, negative AI. A lot of these people are getting infiltrated by AI, and on and on and on. I do not channel. And Kat doesn't really do that type of channeling. We get messages, we talk telepathically with beings. Like I will have a telepathic communication with Michael or Yeshua or Source or whatever, but we're not allowing them to come. I mean, we can, like, I can say I channel information through me, but I'm not a channeler that invites an entity to come into my body, take my body and my mouth over. And I sit there and close my eyes. There's a guy, he has a podcast and I can't remember his name, and he's got like 200,000 subscribers or more. Or I'm sorry, he's got 2 million subscribers. He's got millions of subscribers, and he has all of these channelers come on his show, and every one of them sit there and close their eyes and change the way they're speaking. And they have some person who's taking over their speech, like, "I am now Jethro from planet X, and I am speaking through Bobby here," and I mean, they let these people come in and take them over. And this guy has all these guys on their channel, and every video I have watched on his channel from every channeler that he's had on has been bullshit, total bullshit. And so every one of you need to understand, if you're a psychic and you're having a telepathic conversation, or you're getting downloads, or you're receiving information, that is a completely different thing than you're sitting your ass down and inviting an entity to come inside of you and take you over. Because if you're doing that, you are asking for trouble. I don't care who you are. I don't care why you're doing it. You are asking for trouble. And that is my high horse speech of the day. So
All right. Well, my perspective is that like you said, like I if more people use the word telepathic communication, I would use that word more. But when I post my videos, I say channeled because that's what people know.
people relate to that word.
Yeah, that's what they know to look up. So I still use that word, but I am not doing what like closing my eyes and having an entity come into me. What I do is I set intentions first to connect with only the highest beings of light and to be protected from tricksters because your intentions are very powerful. So that is what I do every time I ask to receive a message and ask questions to spirit. And it's just it's a conversation. It's a telepathic communication.
Yeah,
And so
we've talked about this before. You're not
yeah,
channeling entities through, you're not letting them come into your
right.
body and take you over.
So my process is like I said, I set the intention, I
Mhm.
ask the question, or sometimes I just let them speak to what needs to be spoken about is often what I'll do. And then I type it, and they often won't come through unless I'm typing what they're saying to me because I forget it. It's like I quickly will forget it. So I usually
I
always
write notes on a
I
notepad
have to
when
be
I'm getting
typing it
information,
because
or
they
I'll
don't want to
forget
tell
what they say.
yeah, they don't want to like give me the same information again because I can never remember it. So as long as I'm
Notebooks.
typing, it just flows through. So like today's message, yeah, that we both read, those were just messages that came through telepathically. So that is what we are talking about when
Mhm.
I say channeling, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
saying like you, I'm not saying like every single person that channels is like channeling demons. I
Oh,
don't
I'm not saying they're all doing it. Like I said, there's millions of people all over
yeah,
the earth that do that. I'm just saying all of the ones that I have watched to date
yeah.
have been, except for maybe one or two people that
I mean,
I've
I would
seen,
always say like always
have
like
not been
again,
good.
it goes back to the heart center. If you can go into your heart center, that is where
Mhm.
you feel frequency in that
Mhm.
chakra. So just go into the heart and say, what is this message? Is this message empowering? Is this message disempowering? Does
Mhm.
this feel real to me? Does it feel like a yucky vibration or a really high frequency vibration? Like it's just you have to like discern because not everything is like good and evil, black and white. There's a lot of nuance in everything. So
Yeah. And I'm not naming names when I use the word Bashar. I'm not saying that that guy necessarily is or isn't. I'm not going to say who's good and who's bad. I'm not. Okay. You guys need to determine that. I'm just saying that when I watch these people, I haven't found any that I've watched. And
that
I'm sure
resonates
that
with
there are
you.
several thousand other people on earth that are all doing the same thing. And some of them may be good and some may be bad. I'm just saying the ones that I watch. And I'm also telling you that Yeshua said specifically 90% of the spiritual community is infiltrated right now by entities. 90% are
Well, and the
infiltrated.
reason I mean, I never get percentages or numbers, but I do
Mhm.
believe that there is some infiltration going on. And the reason for that is
Yeah.
because we're in a war. We're in a
We are
spiritual
in a huge spiritual war right now for the
storm.
souls of
It's a war.
humanity.
Yeah, because it's a war for our consciousness. So
Mhm.
they want us to get wrong information. They want us to not go in and have our own discernment and self-empowerment. They want us just confused. So it's just so important to create your own spiritual
Mhm.
practice and your own connection with the creator. That's like the bottom line. Like that's what they keep telling me. You've got to create a spiritual practice for yourself. So
Mhm.
anyway, anything else you wanted to say?
No, I really need to go though, because
Okay,
if I don't eat lunch, I'm gonna pass out and
sounds good.
and my back hurts.
All right. If you want to check out my work, just go to Red Mountain Shaman on YouTube and you can check out my stuff there. We'll talk to you soon, Kimberly. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having I was gonna say thanks for coming on my channel. My brain, see, when I haven't eaten in hours, my brain starts to go to hell. So anyways, yeah. Thank you so much for coming on with me and having this
Yes.
discussion. It's always interesting. And thank you all that are watching for supporting this channel. Make sure you like it and hit the notification button and subscribe. And I am going to warn people that YouTube is unsubscribing a lot of my
Me
subscribers.
too.
So
I've had
every
people
now
say
and yeah,
that.
they're blackballing me all over the place. So make
And
sure
I
that
don't even have like a big channel and they're still doing it to me too.
no, we both have small channels, but the thing is that they're doing it because we're telling the truth and we're telling information they don't
Yeah.
want out there. And so you all need to check always to make sure that you're still subscribed because I'm getting notifications from clients saying that they've been unsubscribed against their will and then they have to keep resubscribing. So please check and like, comment, and to the lady out there who made a rude comment to the people on the comment section about why is Kimberly always changing her looks with Photoshop. Here's what I have to say to you. I don't know how to use Photoshop. I am technically challenged, okay? And the reason I look different on all my videos, because she was making some kind of complaint about how I look different. I only look different because sometimes I'm wearing makeup, sometimes I'm not, and sometimes the sun is shining in my window and
What does
sometimes
that
it's
even
not.
have to do with any sort
I
of
know, I
spirituality?
know.
That has
It's
nothing.
like
Yeah, just ignore those
I
people.
don't know how to use Photoshop, people. Okay, I'm looking different. My color is changing because of the lighting in my room or the lighting in the window because I have windows in front of me here.
I'm using like this crappy construction light because I couldn't find a better light today, like yesterday when I went shopping. So it is what it is. Take it
Yeah,
or
I don't
leave
even
it. That's
have
doing the best
high-tech
that we can.
video lighting because I don't know how to use any. I mean, I bought myself just to give you guys a laugh so you can all have a laugh for the day. I bought one of these ring light things, to use with my videos. And I just can't figure the damn thing out to save my life. And it keeps falling over all the time. So I finally gave up. So if I'm looking different, I'm not like it's almost like I feel like people are trying to say I'm like AI or I'm this or that. And it's like, no, I'm me. Sometimes I wear makeup. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes the light is bright. Sometimes it's not. And that's all there is to it. Okay.
There's, I know. Such
People, humans. I'm so frustrated with the humans. Anyway,
let it go. All right, Kimberly, we'll talk soon.
bye all. Love
Take
you.
care. Love you too. Oh, I
Bye.
love you all too. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Bye.